Hey guys, welcome. This is Dr. Isabella Wentz. Today is the official publication day of my brand new book called Hashimoto's Protocol. This is a 90-day plan for reversing thyroid symptoms and getting your health back and getting your life back. I'm going to be doing a little bit of a book reading from Hashimoto's Protocol today. So I'm going to be sharing my safety theory of Hashimoto's. This is the theory I came up with after working with thousands of patients and reading all sorts of literature and research and experimenting on myself and trying to figure out what was really the underlying pattern or the underlying root cause for just about everybody with Hashimoto's, regardless of what was causing their condition. This book today's the official publication day of Hashimoto's Protocol, so you can actually get it in bookstores. I went on a little trip to Barnes & Noble earlier today with my husband, and I have to admit I was kind of like a kid in a candy store. I was running around the aisles trying to find the book, and it is in the health and wellness section. In some stores, it might be on the health and wellness table, some stores that have that. I went into the local Boulder, Colorado bookstore, Barnes & Noble, and I may have signed a few books. So if you happen to be in Boulder, go ahead and visit the Colorado store in Boulder, the Barnes & Noble, and you may just get a signed copy of Hashimoto's Protocol there. This book is starting to ship, so if you pre-ordered your copy, you might have gotten yours already today, or depending on where you ordered it from, you might be getting it by April 15th, before tax day, to get that into your hands. I'm really, really excited that this book is going to get into your hands because I know from testing the protocols within this book with over 1,000 patients, I know it's going to make a tremendous difference in how you feel, and many of you will feel significantly better in just 2 weeks, which is exciting because who's got time to be sick, right? And if you haven't pre-ordered your copy yet, the fastest way to get the book is by going into a bookstore, so whether Barnes & Noble or any kind of local bookstore, they should have it, or going to Amazon. I have a direct link for you guys to Amazon, getbook.at/protocol, so it's in the description of this Facebook Live event. You'll be able to see that. So get book, and I'll see if I could post it here in the comments for you guys to be able to get a copy of the book for you. So I know Amazon does free shipping and prime shipping for the book. Right now it's only like $17 because they try to do specials around publication day. So if you could get your hands on it, go ahead and do that. And they do, of course, offer a refund or money back guarantee should you not like the book, but I am sure that you're going to like the book and love the book, and it's going to help you on your journey. So without further ado, who is here and who's watching and who's gotten their copy already? Tina said hello. Tina already has her copy. Shiri says hello. Linda says, I can't wait to get it. Chandria, what a beautiful name, says, yay, so excited. Allison, woot woot, yes, I second that. John says, congratulations. Deborah says, hello from Arizona. Victoria's joining from Georgia. Hello. Lori says, I got it today. I can't wait to dive in. You guys that got it, I really, really am excited to see the transformations and the successes you're going to have. Some of the things that I've seen with just the liver support protocol just completely blew my mind. This is the very first 2-week protocol in the book where people have been able to get rid of multiple chemical sensitivities, get rid of headaches, get rid of joint pains, reduce their thyroid antibodies, get their energy back, and start, even losing some weight without necessarily trying, and getting rid of some of that brain fog. So it's amazing to see what happens when people awaken, when their brains awaken, when they start shedding some of the symptoms. When you start shedding some of your symptoms, you really become the person you're meant to be, because when you think about it, what thyroid disease does is it holds you back from living your life to the fullest. And I know this because I struggled for 10 years with fatigue and panic attacks and irritability, and that wasn't me. I'm not this stressed out person that's freaking out and paranoid about everything. That's just not me. And for a while, I thought this was who I was. I thought I was anxious. I thought I was depressed. I thought I was somebody that was weak, and I thought I was somebody that was always tired. And no, that's not me. So underneath it all was a go-getter waiting to get out and waiting to start helping people really it's kind of interesting. Somebody asked me the other day, what has Hashimoto's given you? And what I think for me is Hashimoto's helped me awaken to my true calling as a healer. When I, ever since I was a little girl, I knew that I wanted to help people with their health. And I knew that I wanted to make an impact, and I always loved writing. This was a big passion of mine, and ever since I was little, I actually taught myself to read when I was, I think like 3 or 4 years old, something crazy like that, because I just loved literature and writing, and I had these secret dreams of writing one day, and I wanted to write a self-help book. And it wasn't until I got my diagnosis where I knew what my calling was, that I was going to figure out how to overcome Hashimoto's, and then I was going to help others do the same. And I used my background as a pharmacist, and pretty much every single thing that I had in my life brought me to this point where I would be able to help impact people's lives. And I really, truly feel like this is my calling. I feel like the reason I got sick was so that I could get myself healthy and so that I could help all of you guys do the same. And I can't wait to see what you guys will do once you recover your health. I'd love to hear from you if you have any kind of things or ideas on what you might want to do once you shed some of those annoying symptoms, or what symptoms do you want to shed? What symptoms are not serving you right now that you'd love to get rid of, whether that's hair loss or weight gain or being too tired. I know tired was my biggest thing, where I had so many dreams and goals, but just was too tired to go after them. It was like, I can't do it. I just have to rest. So I'm really, really happy to have you guys on here. Cheryl says, Isabella, Amazon is sending mine this week. Thanks for the info. I'm so glad to hear that. Caribbean, Trisha, hello, Trinidad and Tobago. That sounds lovely. I know I love Colorado. Today it rained. So I am thinking of you and with you there in spirit. Mayor says where to get the book. So you can get the book at bookstores, or you can go to Amazon. I'm going to see in the description of this, there's a link to get the book. It's getbook.at/protocol. It's one of those short links that takes you directly to the Amazon page. I'm going to see if I could type it in here. Book on Amazon. And I'm going to try to type it in without hanging up on you guys, because I've done that before. So let me put my hands away from the button. Okay, you should see that here. Danny says, I got my copy today, so I can't wait to see what happens when you get your copy. Edie just shared the video. Thank you so much for sharing the video. I really appreciate it. You guys, Hashimoto's impacts 27% of our population. It's crazy. So like 1 in 4 people has this condition, but they're not getting the proper treatment. And most of them don't know that there's more they can do, that there's something they could do to be in charge of their own health. They're sort of slaves to their doctors and levothyroxine, and they continue to feel unwell. And I know this because this was my story. So I was misdiagnosed for almost a decade, and then I wasn't treated correctly. So even with thyroid hormones, and I'm a pharmacist, so of course I know my stuff, but even with the thyroid hormones, I still wasn't thriving with thyroid disease. And that's part of the healing journey, but that's just a small piece. There's a lot of different things we want to do and make sure boxes to check off that we get dialed in to really feel our best. Linda says, I've had chronic hives for no reason as long as I could remember. Linda, I am so glad that you're here. Chronic hives are oftentimes correlated with Hashimoto's. There's a ton of research behind this. And you kind of got my little antlers and you got me excited here, because I actually discovered a connection between chronic hives, Hashimoto's, and Blastocystis hominis, which is a protozoan parasite. And this parasite lives inside of our guts, and it causes leaky gut, and it causes us to have hives, IBS, and Hashimoto's. I had this parasite. About 35 to 37% of my clients have it. The biggest symptoms are going to be hives, stomach problems, food sensitivities, IBS, and thyroid antibodies. The exciting thing is, when you get rid of this parasite, Linda, you actually can go into remission. I have protocols in Hashimoto's protocol. If you go to this book is divided into two sections. So the first section is the fundamental, actually it's three sections. So first section is getting to know Hashimoto's and the root cause approach, and I'll be reading from that today. The part 2 is the fundamental protocols. So these are 3 protocols that everybody with Hashimoto's needs to do. I've seen 80% improvement rate in people's symptoms with just these 3 protocols. So that's a liver support protocol that's 2 weeks long, adrenal recovery protocol, a gut balance protocol. After that, we go into advanced root cause assessments where we figure out what your individual trigger is that caused you to have Hashimoto's. And based on hives, when you check off hives as a symptom, that immediately sends you to one of the 5 advanced protocols. And advanced protocols are optimizing thyroid hormones, mastering, let me see if I could hold this up, mastering nutrition and nutrients, protocols for overcoming traumatic stress, protocols for addressing infections, and protocols for removing toxins. If you go to page 307 in the book, I have the protocols for overcoming infections. Blastocystis hominis is a very common, very potentially problematic infection, and actually researchers now have published an article in PubMed, in the medical journals, that show a person had a remission of Hashimoto's and hives and IBS after treating the Blastocystis hominis parasite. I see this all the time with my clients in my practice over the last few years. This is what I've seen time and time again. We treat the pathogen, the hives go away, IBS goes away, the person feels better, their thyroid antibodies go down. Sometimes their antibodies disappear, sometimes their need for thyroid hormone even goes away. Now, this pathogen, if you read online some stuff, you'll hear mixed things. You'll hear that it's commensal, which means that it's supposed to be there. You'll hear that it's difficult to find, and that you'll hear that it's impossible to get rid of. None of these things are true. So 1, it's not supposed to be there. If you have it, you need to get rid of it. 2, there are specific tests you can do for it. I have a listing of the tests in Hashimoto's protocol here on page 311. We have the 401H test, GI map test. These are tests that you can do, and I also provide resources where you can self-order these tests if you don't have somebody to work with. And the third, I guess, myth about this is that you can't get rid of it. So if you read patient forums or patient stories, they'll say that they couldn't get rid of it. It's because they're using the wrong treatments. This pathogen is resistant to metronidazole, which is the usual drug of choice, half the time. And a lot of times it has a lot of life cycles. So it has about a 30-day life cycle, and it has various forms that it exists in, and medications are only going to be able to impact it in a specific form, so you have to do a long enough protocol. And in this book, I have the protocols that are going to help you with eradicating blasto, if that's what you have, which is likely. There's about a 35% chance that you have it, and probably higher if you have hives and Hashimoto's. But I have a protocol in there that's both a medication protocol, that's one option for you, and then I have an herbal protocol. And using either of these protocols, I've seen 100% success rate in all of my clients over the last few years, where we do repetitive tests and they no longer test positive for the parasite. More importantly, their symptoms go away. So that was a bit of a tangent here. I know that was a long-winded answer. I'm just so excited that you guys are asking questions and that you're interested in taking back your health and making these connections. And I've tried to put as much of my heart and soul and research and experience into this one easy-to-use, approachable book that gives you all the guidance and puts you on the right direction to take back your health. Janelle says, waiting for mine in New York. Yes. Christina has hers. Deborah just ordered. Nicole pre-ordered the audio and didn't get the physical book ordered yet. So Nicole, that's awesome that you ordered the audiobook. I love audiobooks. This is one of my favorite ways to listen, and I'm so grateful that my publisher, HarperOne, HarperCollins, has been a publisher for over 200 years. They publish the best of the best books out there, and I'm so proud to be working with them. They actually put it out on an audiobook. So I'm so excited about that, because I know for some people it's easier to listen. For other people it's easier to read. If you want the best of both worlds, you could listen and read at the same time, of course. And I'm so grateful for HarperOne for making that possible. Chesney said, I got mine delivered today. Yes. So Chesney, I cannot wait to hear what kind of success stories you're going to have. Karen said, can't wait to get my copy. Ordered one for a friend too. You're such a great friend, Karen. I feel like it's amazing when people start recovering their health. They really start impacting the people around them. I know personally, not to brag, but I did have my mom, my brother, my sister-in-law, my husband, a lot of people in my life. Within starting to make changes in my own health, my friends and family members started to follow suit, and we've seen improvements in a lot of symptoms across the board, from mood to bowel problems to asthma to thyroid disorders, and it's just a trickle effect. Once you start changing your life, you're going to change the lives of everybody around you, and I think that's wonderful that you're being the change in your life and impacting the people that you love. Let's see, the name of the book. So the name of the book is Hashimoto's Protocol. So you can get it in Amazon, and you can get it in Barnes and Noble. Let me hold it up for you, and you could also see it behind me. Hashimoto's Protocol, a 90-day plan for reversing thyroid symptoms and getting your life back. I'm the author, Isabella Wentz, PharmD. If you just search for Isabella, Izabella, on Amazon, or just for Hashimoto's, you'll be able to find it. I also have a link for you guys in the comments as well as the description of this event. Robin said, received your book from Amazon today. Can't wait to read. Yes. Chesney wants to get rid of hair loss. It's absolutely possible, ladies. I'm so excited to share this with you. I have all kinds of hair now. I didn't for a long time. I had really like a third of my hair went away, and I had constantly bald spots, and it just was dull, and it wasn't shiny, and it was always like getting really damaged. I kept having to cut it. I could barely brush through it. And that came back, once I got my health dialed in, once I got my root causes, my nutrition, got my thyroid hormones dialed in, and you guys, I share all of this in Hashimoto's Protocol, exactly what you need to do, what kind of things to dial in, and how to get your ducks in a row. I started to see, 1, my hair stopped falling out, 2, I started getting little spikes, and 3, before I knew it, I had hair again. Cheryl, extreme nausea. So Cheryl, I'm sorry that you're going through that. That's got to be very, very frustrating. One of the things that I recommend in Hashimoto's Protocol is changing up your nutrition, and we oftentimes see tremendous results by the time you start going into the adrenal protocol. So about 2 weeks you want to do 2 weeks in the liver protocol, and you're going to start seeing probably about 60% of people with nausea will see significant relief. The rest will see relief in the adrenal protocol, which is another 4 weeks. Megan, I can't wait to have more energy. I have so much I want to do, but it's hard when you can't get out of bed. Megan, I'm right there with you. That was my biggest struggle, is like I wanted to live life. I wanted to do all these things, and I couldn't because I was always tired, and it was draining. It was just didn't feel fair. It's one of my big passion points is helping people recover their health, recovering their energy, gives you that opportunity to do whatever you want with your life. And I don't know what it's going to be for you, and I'm excited to hear. Janelle, anxiety and headaches. This is going to be really, really helpful for you. We see a tremendous success rate with anxiety and headaches. I would say more than 80%. We're going to see that going away with just going through the liver, adrenal, and gut protocols. You're going to have magnesium is an excellent thing to have on board, and selenium is an excellent thing on board, and blood sugar balance. And I give you all the details on how you do that. Brico, will we receive our pre-ordered book soon? Brico, yes. Depending on when you ordered it, you will either get it anywhere between today and April 15th, depending on where you ordered it and depending on where you're from. So they're coming, they're on the way. Anna, I was exposed to radiation from Chernobyl. Anything special I should do? So Anna, I don't know if you know this, but I'm also a Chernobyl child. So I grew up on the Ukrainian border, and I was 3 years old when I was exposed to Chernobyl. So everything, I've been able to recover my health, and everything that you need to know is going to be in this book on recovering your health from from a radioactive fallout. So yeah, you're in the right place. Leslie, I'm having trouble with my ears, echo sounds. Let's see if anybody else with Hashimoto's has that. So there could be ear antibodies with Hashimoto's. They cross-react with thyroid antibodies for some people. What I found is a lot of ear symptoms improve once you get your thyroid antibodies in check. And what we've seen with Hashimoto's protocol is going through this, we see about 70% of people just within 90 days, they'll be able to reduce their thyroid antibodies. So you'll be able to hopefully see a reduction in that. I'm really excited for you guys to go through and read this and start implementing some of this in your life because I'm excited to see what changes you're going to have. So I have some statistics here. So 97% improved their knowledge of Hashimoto's, 81% saw an improvement in resolution in depression, 80% a reduction in stomach pain, 75% reduction in joint pain, 74% an improvement in fatigue. So these are just some of the things that that improve with the Hashimoto's protocol. And this is something I tested with people, with my graduates of my programs and my clients, to ask them how effective were these protocols for them. Because one thing is, like, I wanted to make sure that these protocols were going to be effective even if I took myself out of the equation. So I first piloted them with a group of clients. Then I did that through a program that I outlined everything that was supposed to be done. And then I put that into the Hashimoto's protocol. So everything that was in the program is now in the Hashimoto's protocol, as well as the outcomes and any kind of tweaks and improvements that I ended up doing. So let's see comments here. My major complaint is to rid myself of the GERD, gastritis, so I can sleep. AIP diet for 3 months and continue to keep some hope knowing the book is on the way. So glad to hear that, Cheryl. You want to make sure you look at the advanced protocols, look into H. pylori. With this program, even before we got to the advanced protocols, we saw a 71% reduction in acid reflux, so I think you're in the right place. Hang in there. I hope that your book will arrive soon. I hope that you make an effort to create some space and time for healing in your life. And I look forward to hearing from you as a success story. So yay, I'm giddy. Flora says, I got my book delivered today. So excited. Flora, I can't wait to hear about the successes you're going to have and what you're going to do with your life once you shed your symptoms. Let's see here. Dahlia, I have Hashimoto's and hypothyroidism. I've been on Synthroid for over 10 years, and I hate it because of the weight that I have gained. So Dahlia, this is a common thing where we get treated with Synthroid or levothyroxine and it doesn't improve our symptoms. And we still continue to struggle with our weight, with our energy, with all of these things. And the plan is, you want to optimize your thyroid hormones. So I cover that in the optimizing thyroid hormones. You want to definitely look into getting on a T3 containing hormone, or actually doing the liver support protocol helps your body convert your T4 to T3 better. So even when you are on a medication like Synthroid, your body starts utilizing it better. So this is something that is going to help you. I'm really, really excited to see that. Let's see. Angelina says, I'm going to order this book. Yes, I think this book will really, really help you. Carrie says, I have to take the brand name medication because I have celiac. So Carrie, one of the cleanest medications, and I cover that in Hashimoto's protocol, of course, is Tyrosint. It's a T4 containing medication. And then WP thyroid is also one that is very clean and is appropriate for people with celiac disease. Paige says, I ordered the book today on Amazon. I'm currently on Levo and cannot get this extra 25 pounds off. I also have a rash on my lips and heart palpitations. So I think this book is really, really going to help you. The rash may be related to, again, the blastoparasites. So I hope that you look into that. And I hope that you go through the entire fundamental protocol, which will help you kind of get, start shedding some of these things. And you're going to start seeing, if you're on levothyroxine, you're going to start seeing a lot of improvements. Ava, I first had overactive thyroid for several months. After treatments with large amount of ibuprofen brought it to normal, I became underactive I've been on levothyroxine. I'm feeling well and energetic, but my sister has lupus and my brother has myasthenia gravis. I want to avoid another autoimmune disorder on top of Hashimoto's. I stopped eating gluten, dairy, and soy about 2 years ago. What should my immediate goals be? Oh, thanks so much for your question. And I love how proactive you're being. And I love, that you're sharing your journey with others, because that's an important thing for people to know is oftentimes you might start off with an overactive thyroid and then you'll become hypo. And then this can progress to other types of autoimmune conditions. And you're being proactive by changing your diet. The other things you want to get in balance are going to be, diet is a really, really important part. It's like the fundamental of that. The other parts are getting your nutrients balanced, making sure you're nutrient sufficient, making sure your stress response is balanced, making sure that you're detoxing correctly, making sure you don't have any chronic infections that are hanging out because you're genetically susceptible to expressing Hashimoto's if given the right circumstances, or another type of autoimmune condition, right? And then also making sure that your gut is intact. So for you, one of the key things I would recommend doing is starting with the liver support protocol that's in Hashimoto's protocol. And this is a 2-week protocol where you start supporting your detox pathways and getting rid of some of the toxic backlog, which can contribute to autoimmune disease. Casey says, Sherry says, I got it today, yay. Casey says, I pre-ordered during the protocol. I can't wait to get my book. I'm so glad to hear that. And you guys, I would love it if you had a chance to write a review of the book on Amazon, an honest review if you read it and if you thought it was helpful, just because it helps us to spread the word. When I first started talking about Hashimoto's in 2013, nobody really knew what it was and nobody really was paying attention. It was so hard for me to try to find a publisher to publish my first book, and it was just constantly doors being slammed in my face, and nobody really cared. Nobody really wanted to know. They didn't think it really impacted people. And then once we started raising awareness and you guys came on board and you guys were letting people know how important this was, you were letting people know that you were affected with it, more people became interested in Hashimoto's. And so now for Hashimoto's protocol, I actually had 14 publishers that wanted to release this book. I've had media companies and all these other interests and physicians and clinicians and pharmacists and nurses, everybody reaching out to me and saying, hey, we want to learn. We want to help people with Hashimoto's, because you guys are letting people know that there's a demand for this, that there's a huge need, that we, as a lot of us are women, a lot of us are underserved, that we deserve help and that we deserve more than just being told that it's in our head and just to take a medication to eat less and exercise more. We deserve better, and I feel like people are really hearing us. They're hearing our voices. More research is being done. More doctors are being trained. More people are interested. Mainstream is starting to pick up on this. I would love it if every single person that was diagnosed early and was given all the right things to do, right? Wouldn't that be wonderful? And the way that we're going to make that happen is through showing up and letting people know that this is important for us, that this is a cause that we're willing to fight for. And part of that is getting the word out about the book. So if you guys got a copy, if you could share a selfie on your social media page with the book, let people know what you think of it, let people know how it's helped you. 27% of people have it, so 1 in 4 people probably that has it, and they might not know that there's an answer. So sharing it on your social media will help to get the word out. Writing a review on Amazon will help other people know that this is legit, that this isn't something crazy that was concocted, and this stuff actually works. It helps to have people take back their health. I know when I was first diagnosed, I was a very skeptical pharmacist, and I didn't think anything besides medication would ever work. I was completely wrong. I admit it. I always tease my husband. I was like, well, there was this one time that I was wrong, right? But I was completely wrong. And for a while, I was telling people that they didn't need to go gluten-free with other kinds of conditions, or that dairy-free was not something they needed to do. I remember my mother-in-law said she went dairy-free and her gut felt better. I was like, whatever, it's in your head, right? And I wasn't very supportive because I was like, well, I didn't learn about that in school. so therefore it must not be true. And so together, we're going to change this. We're going to let people know, like, hey, we're going to open up some eyes. We're going to help people awaken. And part of that is through our grassroots effort, and you guys are all a part of that. So yay. Shirley says, you're contagious. I'm so excited. Yes, Shirley, we're going to do this together. We're going to help so many people with Hashimoto's. There's so many of us out there. We're like our own little army, right? Or big army, because it's like 1 in 4 of us. Is there a place to order testing in the book? Flor, we do have a resource guide. So if you go to the action page, there's a link to it throughout the book. You'll be able to get information on self-ordering lab tests in case your doctor doesn't want to do it. It's always best to work with a doctor that is working with you and for you, not against you, and having them guide you and interpret things for you and order things for you, because then they're on insurance oftentimes. If not, you always have the option of self-ordering and taking charge of your own health. So, hello from Corey, Pennsylvania. Hello, Sheila. Patty says, I pre-ordered my book but haven't received it yet. Working through root cause. I've had ear eczema for years. So Patty, we're going to resolve that. You're going to change up your nutrition. You're going to address yeast in your life and potentially mold, and that will go away. It looks like, anybody that's pre-ordered it, we're going to see shipping starting today all the way through the 15th, depending on where you pre-ordered it. So if you got it through the Thyroid Secret, those are starting to ship out, and will be shipping out until the 15th from our warehouse. If you got it from Amazon, depending on the shipping speed, and Barnes & Noble, all these different companies have their own ways. I wish I could have you guys all over at my house and just give you a copy and chat with you, and this is sort of the next best thing for me, because I get to interact with you guys and see your beautiful faces and nice things that you're saying, and seeing some inspiration. Rita says, my feet are always swollen and sore. So Rita, I would go through the 3 protocols, the liver, adrenal, and gut protocol, as well as do some comprehensive testing and focus on the infection protocol, because in some cases there may be certain infections that can trigger swelling or rheumatic types of issues. Taylor says, finally seeing a functional doctor and got results positive for H. pylori. She hasn't started treatments. I take Armour. So I'm sorry your comment slipped away from me, but I'm so glad that you found out you had H. pylori, because once you treat H. pylori, your thyroid antibodies will go down, your dose for thyroid hormone may reduce or may completely go away, and you're going to have less food sensitivities and feel better. So I'm really excited that you identified that as a root cause and a trigger. I do have a herbal protocol in Hashimoto's protocol on what you need to do to get rid of H. pylori. So how to get rid of it with herbs and nutrients, with drugs, which drugs for me, I'm a pharmacist, but oftentimes I like to use the natural treatments in many cases, because they're a little bit more gentle. They take longer. So if you're having like really horrific acid reflux and really horrific vomiting from or ulcers from H. pylori, drugs are probably your best bet. But if you're, but they're gonna, you're gonna have to do a lot of probiotics to rebalance your gut flora after, and there's risks, of course, with antibiotics. With the herbal protocols, they take 2 months, so it takes a little bit longer, but they're more gentle. And I have herbal protocols for you on there. And really, these are the protocols that I would use with my private clients. My goal is to sort of remove myself as much as out of the equation as possible, and just to give you guys, everything that's in my brain in this book. And that was the reason why I came up with the second book, was because I had learned so much from my clients, the latest research, and I wanted to get everything I possibly knew in this book, Hashimoto's Protocol, so that you can take it to your doctors, you could implement it on your own. There's a lot of people that need this information, and a lot of you guys, I know that once you know what to do, you will just take off and run with it, and you'll be able to be the CEO of your own health. So I'm very, very proud of you guys and excited to see that. Julie, is hypothyroidism common after childbirth? Yes, Julie, that's one of the potential triggers of hypothyroidism. So postpartum thyroiditis. The good news is, and a lot of times it's easier to reverse than Hashimoto's. So everything that is in Hashimoto's protocol is still going to apply to that. And a lot of times it's a shorter and easier process. So that's the good news if that was your root cause and case. I'm drinking some tea. I feel like chatting with some girlfriends at my house, drinking some tea with you guys. What's the best way to detox? Sherry wants to know. So one of the best ways to detox, I've been talking a lot. Let me take a sip of water here. One of the best ways to detox is actually through not doing a forceful detox, not like DMSA, or even juice fasting or anything like that, but rather supporting your detox pathways. And so you kind of go with the flow of your own body. The liver is one of our largest detox organs and does a lot of great things for us in getting rid of toxins. The skin is our largest detox organ. We don't properly detox through our skin when we have thyroid conditions because we don't sweat enough. Most of us don't complain about not sweating when we have thyroid disease, but it is a symptom that is not desirable to not sweat, even though some of us are like, hey, this is kind of nice, I'm not sweating, but it means that you're not getting rid of toxins properly. And then another way for us to detox is through the gut. And we know that in autoimmune disease, gut function is oftentimes impaired and we have a leaky gut, so that compromises the gut's ability to detox. So what we need to do is sweat more, for one. Two, we need to support our detox pathways, and we do that by removing certain foods and the low-hanging fruit or the low-hanging toxic fruit in our lives. And this is going to be things like fluoride from our water supply. Getting a reverse osmosis filter can be really helpful, helping us getting rid of personal care products and soaps and things that have triclosan and other thyroid hormone disrupting chemicals. And then getting off of reactive foods like gluten, dairy, and soy, of course, and then also adding in different nutrients. So I covered that in the liver support protocol, where this is the protocol that 65% of people feel significantly better within a week of doing that protocol. And symptoms like headaches, joint pains, fatigue, chemical sensitivities go away with this. You want to add in some liver supporting nutrients and supplements, milk thistle and acetylcysteine. These are some great things that you could do, as well as targeted amino acids. And I have it all written out in Hashimoto's protocol. So let me see if I could show you guys the page here where that is found. I still don't know this book well enough, so it's nice to be touching it. I've mostly seen it in like PDFs and like Word documents for the last 2 years of writing it and editing it and perfecting it. So this is something that is exciting for me to be here and with you guys and share with you about the book and to actually be able to touch it and go through it. So this is the kind of thing that you'll see in Hashimoto's protocol. Let me see if I can do this right. So liver support supplements, this will go through which supplement to take, how to use it, recommended brands, and then the dosage is going to be on there too. So this is going to be available for all of the protocols where I go through like, these are the exact supplements you take, these are the exact foods you add, these are the exact foods that you remove. And then I also have some recipes in here too, some of my favorite drinks and detox drinks. Hot lemon water is one that's really easy. Then we have detox juice. I had some of that today. One of my really popular ones is the fermented margarita. I wish I was better at holding up books into screens, but hey, can't be good at everything, right? So hopefully you guys were able to see that, and definitely encourage you to pick up a copy of the book and check it out. Let's see, more questions here. Marsha, I'm always told my meds are fine, all my tests are okay, doc won't change anything. This is a very common question or common thing that many of us hear. And the thing you want to do is take charge of your own health, and you want to find ways to help yourself. And this is what I cover in in through my work. That's really my goal, is to empower you and to let you be your own healer. There's much more to Hashimoto's and thyroid disease than just meds. Kristen says, got the new book today. That's awesome. Gina says, I just got the book tonight and have already read 50 pages. I'm so glad to hear that. Donna says, thank you, Betaine changed my life. Yay, I'm so excited to hear that. That's great feedback. And Danielle says, ordering tonight. So excited to see that. Hopefully that'll help you on your journey. And thanks for taking action. It's really going to help you on your journey. And I'm so excited to see what's going to happen when you start implementing these things. And please leave me comments on Amazon and Facebook. I'd love to hear from your progress. My goal is to create 10,000 success stories in 2017, and would really love for every single one of you guys to be a success story. Leslie says she just ordered on Amazon. We'll have it by April 4th. So awesome, Leslie. I'm so glad that you just got it. Amazon's the fastest way to get it to your home right now, unless you're like running out and going to like Barnes & Noble or something, or another bookstore. Casey says, you're an amazing person, shows how much you genuinely care. Thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And yeah, thanks. That kind of made my day. Lindsay says, how do you know if your gut is healing? So Lindsay, one of the things is going to be you're going to have beautiful bowel movements. I know that sounds funny, but you're not going to have any straining. They're all going to be well formed. You're going to be going like once or twice a day, and it's going to be like kind of like, like it's not going to be difficult. You're not going to have gas. You're not going to be bloated. Those are going to be some signs. And additionally, a lot of your health issues should resolve once you heal your gut. I have a gut protocol in here. It's a 4-week protocol where we go through and we do we lay all the fundamentals for gut healing that you need to do. So just to give you guys a quick kind of background, one of the things that occurs in leaky gut, or some of the causes of leaky gut, these are going to be nutrient depletions, especially L-glutamine and zinc. So we address that. Imbalances in gut microbiome. So we address that with doing probiotics and fermented foods. Food sensitivities. So the gut protocol addresses those, how to figure out which ones you have. And then enzyme deficiencies. And so enzyme deficiencies can be a very important root cause, and we go through how to address the enzyme deficiencies in the gut protocol. And so this will give you a baseline. This will help you tremendously. The other things that can impact the gut are covered in the advanced protocols of the book. So there's some things that not many people are aware of, but triggers inside of the nose or inside of the mouth are technically part of our gut. So if you have sinus issues or mold growing in your sinuses, that can actually cause you to have leaky gut. If you have infected teeth, infected root canals, periodontitis, that can cause you to have leaky gut. And then, of course, any kind of infections within the gut, like such as H. pylori and blasto, some of the ones we talked about, these are also going to cause leaky gut. And so all of these things are addressed in Hashimoto's protocols to give you guys the most comprehensive package for healing all in one place. Let's see. So many great questions. Taylor says, thank you, we'll get the book. That's awesome. Nicole took some action, so she's waiting for her comprehensive test results to come in. So high five on that. So high five, ladies. Taylor for getting the book and Nicole for getting some lab tests. I'm so proud of you guys for taking action. Donna says, I have your other book. We'll have to get this one too. Yeah, the books work really well together. So the Hashimoto's protocol builds on the root cause. The root cause has a lot of my story and a lot of the research behind it. So if you're a research nerd, you want to get both of the books. And if you're looking for a roadmap, Hashimoto's protocol has that complete roadmap for you. What's the difference between hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's? So this is actually a great opportunity for a book reading. So I'm going to read from chapter 2, and I have a section here. It's called exactly what you just asked. So if I could find it, so bear with me here. What's going on in Hashimoto's? Do you have Okay. So, Hashimoto's, and we're going to go through the 5 stages of Hashimoto's, what this means. We're going to go through why Hashimoto's occurs, and let's see what else we can get from this chapter for you guys. Hypothyroidism. So, some of the more common symptoms of hypothyroidism produce a slowing down effect on the body, such as sluggish metabolism leading to weight gain, fatigue, forgetfulness, cold intolerance or sensitivity to cold, depression, dry skin, constipation, loss of ambition, loss of hair, muscle cramps, stiffness, joint pain, emotional lability, loss of the outer third of the eyebrows, menstrual irregularities, infertility, and weakness. Now, many people might think that they have Hashimoto's, or many people might think that they have hypothyroidism, so they're just told by their doctors that they have a sluggish or underactive thyroid, and they don't realize that they have an autoimmune condition. So they're not told that there's something going on within their bodies. So I want to read a little bit more here about traditional doctors may not always test for Hashimoto's antibodies unless there's an elevation in TSH, which is a problem because these antibodies can be elevated for decades before a change in TSH is seen. So Hashimoto's is the condition that causes people to have an underactive thyroid or hypothyroidism. So basically, Hashimoto's is something that leads you to become hypothyroid. Hypothyroidism is a clinical state, and this is something that is addressed by thyroid hormones or resolving the root cause of the hypothyroidism. And in most cases, in the United States, 99% of the time, Hashimoto's is the reason why somebody's hypothyroid. So let me go through here and read about the 5 stages of Hashimoto's and how that turns into hypothyroidism, because the condition that causes hypothyroidism is known as Hashimoto's, and it doesn't come out of nowhere, so there are different stages for it. So the 5 stages of Hashimoto's. Ideally, people would be diagnosed with Hashimoto's before they are diagnosed with hypothyroidism. That way, the risk for hypothyroidism is known, and there's an opportunity to identify the underlying reasons for the immune system's attack on the thyroid. Hashimoto's progresses through 5 stages, which means that there are several points along the way when it can be intercepted before hypothyroidism develops. For your reference, I've listed out the 5 stages of disease progression, as well as the conventional medical approach you're likely to experience at the various stages. So this goes through the 5 stages of Hashimoto's and what we're likely to get. Stage 1, people only have the genetic predisposition to develop Hashimoto's and don't have any manifestation of the condition. They have not been exposed to the necessary autoimmune triggers, and thus their thyroid function will be optimal with no evidence of an immune attack on the thyroid. They won't have any thyroid symptoms, and for all intents and purposes, they will not have any evidence of Hashimoto's outside of the predisposing genes. Based on evidence I will share in a later chapter, in chapter 4, I've come to the conclusion that up to 80% of people in our population have the genetic predisposition to develop Hashimoto's if those people also encounter specific triggers. So, if it sounds exotic and you think nobody in your life has it, it's not that exotic, and your genes are not faulty. It's not like, don't ever, I hope you guys never feel like there's something wrong with you and like you just have bad genes, because this can be modified, and many of us have the genes to develop Hashimoto's. Going back to Chernobyl, 80% of children within my age range that were exposed in the city of Chernobyl ended up with thyroid antibodies indicating Hashimoto's. So, given a strong enough trigger, we're going to all have an attack on our thyroid gland, or at least 80% of us will. So this is something that I feel like a lot of us within the community and Hashimoto's are sort of the canaries in the coal mines because we are reacting to what's in our environment. The good news is there are ways to mitigate that, and that will be the next little excerpt I read from this book after we go through the stages. Stage 2, this is the beginning stage of the autoimmune attack on the thyroid. While thyroid antibody tests may be positive at this stage, all of the other thyroid tests will be considered within normal limits. That said, a person in stage 2 may be highly symptomatic. Doctors who don't do advanced testing often misdiagnose people in this stage with anxiety or depression or label them as hypochondriacs. Another common thing is that women are often going to have miscarriage in stage 2. So stage 2, we have the attack on the thyroid gland. We potentially have the antibodies, but not everybody tests positive. But we don't get the right tests. I didn't, certainly. And we're told that we're hypochondriacs. We're told that we're crazy. We're told that we're anxious or depressed, and then we get placed on antidepressants and or kind of shoved away and told to eat less and exercise more. This is a very, very unfortunate. Stage 3. Here we see the beginning of thyroid gland failure. This is also known as subclinical hypothyroidism. The thyroid can no longer compensate for the autoimmune attack, so we can actually quantify changes in the traditional thyroid tests. Most notably, the TSH will begin to show as slightly elevated. The conventional approach at this stage is to watch and wait until the thyroid burns itself out, unless that person happens to be highly symptomatic, pregnant, or trying to conceive, or if the doctor is more progressive, synthetic thyroid hormones are prescribed. Women past their fertile period are the least likely to receive treatment at this stage, as TSH is thought to increase with age. So here's the thing, subclinical hypothyroidism is stage 3, when enough of your thyroid gland has been destroyed where there's a rise in TSH. Now, doctors will say, oh, well, the rise in TSH is not high enough, and you might still have enough thyroid hormones like T3 and T4 on board because your thyroid gland is still compensating, but it's working it's working really hard, which is causing more inflammation in your body, causing you symptoms. And at this stage, I actually recommend thyroid hormone treatments, and sometimes even in stage 2, to slow down and mitigate the symptoms, right? Here's the crazy thing. So most doctors will do a TSH test and they'll tell you that it's normal, but they might consider numbers as high as 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, even 10 in some cases normal, where a woman without thyroid disease should have a TSH somewhere between 0.5 and 2. If you're a woman of childbearing age, before menopause, it should be right around 1. So just as a caveat here. Stage 4, at this point, Hashimoto's involves overt thyroid gland failure. The thyroid can no longer make enough hormones and it's not able to compensate due to advanced thyroid damage. This is the stage when most people are diagnosed by their symptoms and obvious out-of-range labs. Their labs are going to show an elevated TSH and a low level of T3, T4. Most patients are likely to receive a prescription for systemic thyroid hormones, such as levothyroxine. Brand names include Synthroid, Levoxyl, and others. So this is when most people get diagnosed and they're placed on Synthroid, and that's kind of the traditional model. And this is when the majority of the thyroid gland has burned out, where you have really obvious hypothyroid symptoms and really obvious changes in your lab tests. So the crazy or sad thing is that between stage 2 and stage 4, there's an average of 10 years, and there's an average of 10 years before we get diagnosed, an average of 10 years of attack on our bodies, an average of 10 years of symptoms and suffering, needless suffering, before we get diagnosed. And this is why it's so important. And I really appreciate you guys. I know I'm seeing a lot of you guys are sharing this Facebook Live, and I appreciate you doing that to get the message out to anybody that might be suffering. Stage 5, this stage brings progression to additional autoimmune conditions like lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, Sjogren's, psoriasis, and others. So this is a condition that's progressive. And what we need to do is we need to catch it as early as possible, and then we need to start addressing the triggers so that we can prevent further damage to the thyroid gland. In some cases, we can reverse the damage, but it's much easier to prevent damage, right? And that we can prevent the progression to other types of autoimmune disease, and of course, feel better once we address the triggers and root causes. I do have protocols for regenerating thyroid tissue. Those are in the advanced protocols. So protocols for optimizing thyroid hormones, you guys will be able to find more information on that. But of course, it's much easier to prevent the damage. So let's go to some questions. I'm going to do another little reading from the safety theory. So this is my safety theory of how thyroid disease is triggered and how we can make our bodies feel safe once more and reverse thyroid disease. So, awesome, you guys. Joyce, thank you so much for sharing this. I really appreciate it. Lisa ordered the book. Thank you so much. I appreciate you ordering it. I hope it helps you on your journey. Valerie says, what do you do when you're sick and don't want to take antibiotics? Valerie, in some cases, you want to evaluate if you have a flu or a viral illness. Of course, the antibiotics are not appropriate. In other cases, they can be very much life-saving and very helpful. In that case, you want to make sure that you take really great probiotics like Espulardi or VSL or Therabiotic or Megaspore to rebalance your gut flora and eat plenty of fermented foods. Because in some cases, antibiotics can save lives, but it's a matter of overusing and not properly treating your body, rebalancing it. Great questions. Cassandra said, love your books and documentary. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to hear that. Donna says anxiety is the one thing she wants to overcome. So we're going to see tremendous improvement in anxiety with the protocols. Definitely the adrenal protocol will help you with that. I used to be very, very anxious, and now I'm like pretty cool and calm and collected. And people are like, how are you always so calm? And this is the true me, and this is the true state of most healthy people. And once you get your health and your adrenals in balance, you'll find that you can be calm and like calm as a cucumber and collected. It's pretty amazing when that lifts. I used to have panic attacks whenever my husband would go out running, and he would say, I'll be back in an hour, and 5 minutes would pass, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, he got hit by a car, or he got a heart attack while running, or maybe he ran off with another woman, and I would just, kind of have all these things in my head. And after I got my Hashimoto's into remission, I was no longer anxious. And poor thing, he was, he's like the best husband ever, just really caring and patient. But he was going to Vegas for a bachelor party, and poor thing was almost like afraid to ask me to go because he thought I would be freaking out the whole time. And I was like, no, honey, have fun. Like, it's going to be great. And it was just very liberating to not have all those worries, right? Angela says, waiting for my protocol book. That's awesome. I have a yeast sensitivity. Can I eat fermented foods? What tests do you recommend to determine if I'm also mold sensitive? I have more information about mold testing and Hashimoto's protocol, so I'm glad that you will be getting that. And then how to address getting rid of yeast in your body, because that could be causing your sensitivity. Fermented foods can be helpful, but you want to make sure that you kind of test them out. And kombucha, in some cases, many cases, I love kombucha, but it can be problematic for people with yeast issues. So that's something to keep in mind. Soon said, I got the root cause too today. Which one should I read first? Perhaps both at the same time. Yeah, I suggest that you carve out some time and start reading both of the books. The Hashimoto's protocol has some action steps, and the root cause has a lot of research on my story, as well as a whole host of strategies to try. So I definitely think you're in the right place with either book. Of course, Hashimoto's protocol has over 1,700 reviews, and Hashimoto's root cause has over 1,700 reviews, and I think Hashimoto's protocol has over 60 now, with people who have got a book and had a chance to read it. And I appreciate you guys, once you have a chance to read it, if you can leave a review on that to let people know if it's helped you, and leave an honest review. I do hope that it does help. I've worked really, really hard to make it as approachable and as helpful as possible, and everything in there has been tested and vetted. So hopefully this will be a tremendous life-changing resource for you, which has been my hope and dream and goal all along for you guys. Let's see, great questions, you guys. Is it common to have half a thyroid? I only have a right lobe and found out recently. So Trisha watched the videos, requested an ultrasound. Trisha, I'm so proud of you for taking action. It is something that can be an issue, and this is why I always recommend doing a thyroid ultrasound to look at the function and structure of the thyroid to give us an idea what's going on. In some cases, if you have half a thyroid, you could have been born that way, right? Or it could have been degenerative disease, or some people have it surgically removed. And in some cases, that half a thyroid can do a great job and produce enough thyroid hormones for you. In other cases, you may benefit from some hormonal support. And generally, when you don't have, if you were to have a complete thyroidectomy, as some people have, or been born without a thyroid, in that case, we always want to make sure that we are getting an external source of thyroid hormones. And oftentimes, this is going to be T4, T3 hormones that are going to be needed. And I have a really thorough overview of thyroid hormone medications in Hashimoto's protocol in the Optimizing Thyroid Hormones chapter, because you're going to want to get that dialed in, and that's super important for for anybody who has a damaged thyroid, who has half a thyroid, or who who doesn't have a thyroid, is getting those hormones in balance. And if you have a damaged thyroid, there's a chance you can regenerate the damage. If you have your thyroid gland removed, there are no strategies right now to regrow a thyroid, but as soon as, if there's any ones that are out there, I will let you guys know. I'm always staying on top of the latest, greatest research and innovations. So make sure that you get my Hashimoto's protocol book, because this has the latest and greatest research on regenerating thyroid tissue, tried and tested protocols with my clients. And then also sign up at mythyroidpharmacist.com website /protocol or /gift. You'll be able to get some wonderful gifts from me for joining. And I'll once I have some time after releasing this book, I'll go back to kind of evaluating the latest and greatest research. I feel like I'm pretty current and up to date right now, but we'll start going back to kind of diving in for any other kind of new things probably in the next month or so. Oh, great questions, you guys. So Alma says no sound. You may want to play around with your computer to see if you can get sound. Everybody else, you guys all hear me? Uh-oh, Valerie says I lost sound. If you guys could let me know if you can hear me. I think I have my microphone still on. Let's see. Let me know if you guys can hear me, and I'm gonna check in with my hubby here too, because I know he's watching. Michael, can you let me know if you can hear me? Otherwise, we'll have to restart or try to re-plug into something else. Let's see, sound is good. Okay, Lisa, thanks for letting me know. And Sina says I can hear you. Okay, good. I was getting worried something happened here with Facebook. Sometimes they, depending on the internet, we can get disconnected. Alrighty, Sina says, sounds like I'm in stage 4 or 5. So if you have another autoimmune condition, that could be stage 5. If you have a TSH above 10, and if you're on thyroid hormone replacement, that's generally going to be stage 4. Sino says, do I spend my last dime on functional medicine, doctor? I'm in stage 4 or 5. So, I would say if you can go through the Hashimoto's protocol and see what you can utilize on your own. This is my goal for you guys, is to reduce your dependency on the medical system and to give you pretty much everything you can do on your own, as well as give you an understanding on when you need to call in a specialist. The fundamental protocols, of course, it's always wonderful if you could work with a doctor, a team of coaches, and have people in your corner, healthcare professionals, family members, loved ones, friends, a support network. The more support you can have, the better. But the protocols are also designed so that you can do them effectively on your own. These are the fundamental protocols, the liver, adrenals, and gut. So these are things you could do in your very own home, your very own environment. You change your nutrition around. You can take some very safe supplements, and like generally they're vitamin based in doses that are not going to build up in your body. And another really important part of the book is the advanced protocols. And the advanced protocols, a lot of times, that let you know what kind of specialist you need to work with. So obviously, if you have an infected tooth, infected root canal, I'm not going to tell you to be your own dentist and pull out your tooth by yourself and clean it out. No, thank you. If you have trauma, like a traumatic event in your past is something that led to you developing a pattern of autoimmunity, then I'm not going to tell you to try to get over it. I'm going to tell you which kinds of therapies and experts are the best and what kind of protocols to use with those experts, so that when you seek out those experts, you'll know what questions to ask and you'll know what therapy to ask for that's going to be the most efficient and effective for you. And this is from my personal experience with my clients. I learned so much from my clients and my readers who are always sending me tips and things that they have worked really well for them. One important thing I learned from my clients and readers, this was never a part of my root cause, but for example, breast implants can be a significant trigger for many women with autoimmune disease. And so, breast implant illness is a trigger that's covered in Hashimoto's protocol. And definitely if you have breast implants and your thyroid symptoms started after the fact, or any other symptoms started after that fact, that would be something important to consider. So I hope that answers your question. I'm sorry if it wasn't very straightforward. Hashimoto's protocol is going to give you all of the things you need to do on your own. In many cases, 80% of the time, you're going to feel significantly better. Many people go into complete remission. Some people get off of thyroid hormones just by doing the fundamentals, right? These are your building blocks, and they're going to help you feel better, and they're also going to help you tolerate some of the more advanced protocols better, like some of the more detox protocols. And I do cover detox protocols in the advanced toxins part. I do cover all the infection protocols. But just as a heads up, you guys, once you do get the book, I highly encourage you to go through the fundamental protocols first, or simultaneously as you work through the advanced protocols, because my whole experience has led me to realize that we need to really build up the body and make it more resilient. And so we do that by supporting the liver, adrenals, and gut, because some of the protocols, like getting rid of infections, that can make us feel worse in the short term. And if you're already exhausted, and if I'm giving you a Candida protocol, the Candida protocol can cause die-off and make you more tired. I don't really want you to be feeling worse in the short term. So we want to have build you up with the fundamental protocols. This will, in speaking in terms of energy, this will give you more energy. And then even when you do the Candida protocols, yes, you'll be more tired, but you'll still be above where you were before. So that's something to realize. The healing will go low energy. Then we're going to see the liver support's going to help you rise up. Adrenal support is going to be a tremendous boost. Gut support is going to be helpful. And then once you do the other protocols, you're going to see infections. You might have a dip in energy. And then once they're cleared, you're going to go back up higher, if that makes sense. So it's sort of like my first goal is to make you guys feel better, because who wants to sit around and feel horrible for years as you're trying to, take all these herbs and antibiotics or detox that just could be miserable. And you guys want to move on with your life. You want to have a good time. You want to have, you want to have fun, and you want to feel good. And we can do that with the fundamental protocols. Okay, Valerie says, I'm back. Glad to hear that. Let's see. Tasha says, how do I find an endocrinologist that will explore all these options instead of just throwing Synthroid at me? Do you have a state-by-state list of recommended doctors? Tasha, I do. And if you go to, I have a post on the Thyroid Pharmacist page that gives you access to that. So if you go to that post, and I think it's called Celebration Time. I'm sorry, I can't see it right now. I've been doing all kinds of crazy posting lately because I've just been so excited about getting the book out. But it is a listing of clinicians that patients have submitted from around the world. Of course, I can't guarantee that every single doctor is going to know every single thing, but it's a starting point for you guys. And I also include an excerpt from Hashimoto's protocol called Finding Dr. Right. And so these are the questions you need to ask that doctor. Because I would hate for you guys to, find somebody and then get there and like waste your time and then figure out that they've never heard of natural desiccated thyroid or low dose naltrexone, or that they don't, utilize or believe in nutrition. Dahlia says, thank you so much for your great information. I just don't understand why doctors don't treat us or give us the right information or diagnosis. So Dahlia, and this is a great question. And really, when you think about it, it's not their fault. It's not the doctors that are wrong. My mom is a doctor. I've grown up around doctors my whole life, and I'm a pharmacist, and I've went to school with pharmacists and doctors and worked with nurses. And I can tell you that, I can't think of one person that I've met in my life that didn't genuinely and passionately want to help people with their health. Like that's like, we're healers. That's what we want to do. But most of them just don't know any better because we're not taught about nutrition in school. I never learned about nutrition in pharmacy school. There's no nutrition in medical school. Nurses, hardly get this information. And we're not taught about root causes. I had, pharmacy school was 4 years, which is just as long as medical school is. And I covered a lot of diseases in pharmacy school. Physicians cover even more diseases than pharmacists do. I had one lecture on thyroid disease that lasted 1 hour out of my entire curriculum. I was in class 40 plus hours each week for 4 years. And there's a lot to know about a lot of different things, and thyroid disease doesn't get a lot of attention. Part of the reason is because there are hormones to replace the thyroid gland. So there's no incentive to look for the root causes, because they just say, okay, we'll just give you more hormones, and there's not enough push for it. And so together, what we're doing with creating this demand for getting the word out about Hashimoto's is we're letting people know and letting physicians know that this is important and that we need to look for deeper root causes. And just so you guys know, everything I do is based on research, and it's from PubMed, which is the largest database for researchers, but it's researchers here, and then this is doctors here, and there's not really a good bridge. Whatever happens in research, it takes about 10 to 15 years to be translated into medicine. And a lot of times what happens in research is years behind what's happening in clinical settings and from clinical experience. So I'll give you an example with my connection with Blasto and Hashimoto's. I started seeing that in 2011, 2012, 2013. I was like, by 2013, I was like, this is a significant trigger. This is very relevant. And finally, in end of 2015, something came out in the research about it. And it was just one case report. And now doctors, most doctors still don't think that Blasto is an issue, because 20 years ago when they went to medical school, it wasn't they thought it was fine. Another example is when I was working as a pharmacist, there was a patient of mine came in and he was on Wellbutrin, and the generic came out, and he asked if he could have the generic. So I filled the generic prescription for him, and he came back within that week, and he was like, this isn't working. This is not working. And so I was like, okay, we'll give you the brand name medication. I'm so sorry about that. And let me write up a report to the FDA. So I did that. And then later that week, I had 2 more patients coming in with that. From that point on, I refused to dispense generic Wellbutrin. And I let people know that this was an issue. So this was in, what year was that? This was in my first year as a practicing pharmacist. So this was 2006. a report on how Wellbutrin, the generic equivalent, didn't work as good finally came out like 2 years ago. And that, you know, and I knew this like in 2006, and it was because my patients told me. So anyway, so that's kind of the main kind of reason. And it's not that doctors don't want to help you. They want to help you. That's their passion. But they also want to make sure they're doing their best by you. And if they don't believe something works, they're going to tell you not to do it. And so part of what you guys, you know, once you start implementing these protocols, we're also doing an outreach where we're sending these books to doctors and pharmacists and letting them know about this, is letting them know what results you've had and just saying, hey, doc, guess what? I cut out gluten. Can we measure my antibodies before and after and see what happens? Let's take a scientific approach. I know every doctor, pharmacist, nurse I know is always like really excited to be like a scientist, even if they're not working in a science setting. And if you're like, can we do an experiment? Can we test my antibodies before and after? You might just convince that one doctor that's going to see thousands of patients in their lifetime, and you're going to, you know, be the trickle effect again. So Wendy says, I'm on desiccated thyroid. Is that stage 4? You know, it depends on when your doctor put you on it. So some people may put maybe on thyroid hormones in an earlier stage. Some doctors may start people as early as stage 2. Generally, most doctors don't start people until stage 4. I would ask what your TSH was when you were diagnosed and what your free T3 and free T4 was. If your TSH and if your TSH was above 10 and your free T3 and free T4 were already low, that would be an indication that you were in stage 4. Let's see. Kathy says, my antibodies TPO are down to 130 and thyroglobulin are 0. Does this mean anything? You know, that's really great news. I always like to see the antibodies drop over time. You know, under 0 is ideal if you can get them to 0. Under 100 is what I consider a remission. If you can, the higher the antibodies, the more aggressive the attack on your thyroid. You know, remission, I feel like it doesn't have the best definition. If somebody started with their antibodies at 101 and then they were at 99 and they still were symptomatic, I would not consider that a remission. Just, you know, by the symptoms alone, you can't just go by the numbers. But if somebody started with antibodies in 2000 and then they were at like 200 and they were feeling great and fabulous, then I would consider that a remission. So it's sort of, I consider it a mix between the numbers and how a person feels. Let's see, great questions, you guys. Can a large blood transfusion be a trigger? Angela, you know, thanks for asking that. And I actually have a lot of triggers defined in the advanced protocols chapter, and I have a listing here. I'm kind of like going through, it's kind of funny for me to go through the book and not know where things are, because in Hashimoto's The Root Cause, I could tell you pretty much where everything is on each page. So here would love to find the information where I wrote out about all the different triggers, but know that it's in there. I don't know which page quite on there, but I have a listing of all the triggers based on research. Blood transfusions have been connected to autoimmune disease and thyroid disease. So if you have had a blood transfusion, then there's going to be a greater likelihood that this is going to be an issue. So this is going to be found in Hashimoto's protocol. I have a listing of all the potential toxins. And actually, I found it. It's on page 223, where I have a listing of some of the potential root causes, and if you can see, blood transfusion is on there. And everything that's in the protocols is going to help you address that, because we're working to rebalance, build your resilience, and we're working to rebalance your body. Kelly says, hi, Alicia. Hello, Alicia. Bethany wants to know, what are the normal levels for TSH, TPO antibodies, thyroglobulin antibodies, free T4 and free T3? So TSH, you want it to be between 0.5 and 2. TPO antibodies are under, and TG are under 35, depending on your lab test. Under 35 is considered not having Hashimoto's. I would say if they're above 1 or 2, there's a good chance that you have Hashimoto's. The T3 and T4, you want it to be in the top half of the reference range. I don't like to give numbers with that because there's different reference ranges out there. So I don't want to, lead you astray and tell you one number and you're like, but mine is like 100 times different, because there's different reference ranges. Karen said, I've got my book today. I can't wait to take back my health. I'm so glad to hear that. Brenda Lee, will the Thyroid Secret be sold again? So Brenda, it's still available for sale. We have put in our order at the time. So right now we're getting charged more. But if you go to thethyroidsecret.com, you should be able, and /gold, you should be able to get the information on the current price, packages and prices that we have available for that. Andrea, can you recommend a systemic enzyme to replace Wobenzym? I'm allergic. I'm sorry to hear that. It would be difficult for me to recommend one because I wouldn't know which component of it you would be. All right, so I'm back. He said, can you recommend a systemic enzyme to replace Wobenzym? I'm allergic to Wobenzym. It would be difficult for me to recommend one because I don't know which component of the Wobenzym you're allergic to. There is one that I like by Pure Encapsulations called Systemic Enzymes, but again, I'm not sure which component, so there is a chance that you might be reactive to that one as well. So it might be a matter of kind of investigating and working with a healthcare practitioner and figuring out what your sensitivity is. Karen says, I've got my book today. I can't wait to take my health back. Yes, Karen, I'm excited for you to take your health back. Bethany, let's see here. Sorry, your comment got away from me. Valerie, I'm Hashimoto's and celiac. I'm on week 3 of AIP, not feeling any better. What else can I try? I'm in the middle of reading the root cause. So Valerie, thanks so much for the question. This is a really, really important question. And I found that my clients that don't feel better with diet, 80% of them are going to have a gut infection. And so this is what the advanced protocols cover. We cover different gut infections, and I would highly recommend that you look into that. This is going to be in Hashimoto's protocol. This is based on my experience working with clients over the last few years. Start looking into that. And then Lisa also had a helpful question. So she's on week 3. It can take some time. I would say by 3 months, if you've hit a plateau or if you haven't gotten better, start looking for those infections. And even if you're at week 3, it wouldn't hurt to start looking for infections. A lot of people who have celiac disease, and specifically with celiac disease, the research shows that people who have celiac disease and don't feel better usually have some sort of gut infection or parasite when they don't feel better on a gluten-free diet. And you should see some results. Valerie says, where can I get Megaspore Biotic? If you go to rootcology.com, we have a link for you to get that there. Rosa, I ordered the book. Looking forward to 100% Wellness again. Rosa, I'm so glad to hear that. Chris said, you're so amazing. Thanks for opening the doors for the rest of the world to understand Hashimoto's. Yes, we're taking charge of our own health, and I want to get this information to everybody that's diagnosed with Hashimoto's or should be diagnosed with Hashimoto's, because this information, like I had the name of the Thyroid Secret, this should not be a secret. This should be out into the public domain. Everybody should know about this, and that's why I have this book. It's only $17 now on Amazon. I don't know when the price will be that low again. It's usually like $30, and they're doing a special because today is the official publication date. So yay. So if you guys, there's a link here in the description of this event, getbook.at/protocol. If you click through that, that'll take you directly to Amazon. And then I've also been posting some links throughout our chat here. They're offering bioidentical hormone replacements. What do you think about that? Can it help with autoimmune conditions? Gabriella, yes, they can if you're working with a person that knows what they're doing that. Sina says, I have disfiguring psoriasis for 12 years. I'm so sorry to hear that, Sina. I hope that the protocols in this book, and I'm confident that you're going to see improvement with psoriasis once you address the root causes with Hashimoto's protocol. I've had some clients who have had both psoriasis and Hashimoto's, and we've seen a tremendous improvement or even a remission of psoriasis. A lot of times it's going to be the same exact triggers. Gut infections and psoriasis are very, very common, and food sensitivities. And I'm really, really excited for you to see this. I've had quite a few patients go into remission from psoriasis as when they had it co-occurring with Hashimoto's. So I really hope to hear from you once you implement these protocols and see how well you do. Dulce, what a pretty name, says, my doctors are excited for me to finalize my Ayurveda certification so I could partner with them. That's so exciting. That's so cool. I'm so glad that you're going to be treating lifestyle and education and nutrition with them. So I hope that you do that. And then, I recommend that you do an in-service. I used to do this when I was working as a pharmacist. I would do in-services and take information from various books, and you could do one on Hashimoto's using Hashimoto's protocol and educate the doctors so that they know how to treat patients. Jessica says, thank you for everything you do. I finally feel better after 2 decades of Hashimoto's. I feel like my 20s and 30s were wasted on being sick. Oh no, but you're feeling better now after 2 decades. So I'm so glad to hear that. I was smiling because I was thinking just to myself, I feel better in my 30s than I did in my 20s. And I hope that for you guys. I've had clients that said, I'm in my 60s and I feel better than in my 20s. I'm in my 50s. So don't think that your life is wasted. Just, I encourage you not to be bitter about that. Just, kind of be grateful for the gift that you do have of having your health back, because we can, when you think about it, when you think about all that time lost, it can be quite difficult to process. And so I know I've been there where most of my 20s were like, okay, I didn't do much. And so, you can always go back. You can always be living in the present and really show up. And this is more of an opportunity for you to shine and take back your life and take back your health. So I'm really, really glad. Shannon, does work with chiropractors help? Yes, so chiropractors are often trained in functional medicine, and they can be very, very helpful. There's some chiropractic adjustments that can really help too. In Hashimoto's protocol, I have a finding Dr. Right and how to build your healthcare team around you that will teach you which kind of experts are the best to have in your corner. Kimberly, cut out gluten, egg, dairy from my daughter's diet. In 6 months, she went from unchartably high antibodies, over 2,000, and they're now at 664. Yay, hoping they'll continue to decline. Congratulations, Kim, on taking charge of your family's health, and I hope Hashimoto's protocol will help you further dial that in. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Donna, please speak about Wobenzyme. So Wobenzyme is a systemic enzyme. It can help to reduce thyroid antibodies and reduce food sensitivities, break down some of those bacterial biofilms where pathogenic bacteria might live, and kind of have they're called biofilms, and they can stimulate autoimmune disease and cause us to have antibodies. I covered that in the gut protocol on how to use systemic enzymes and how to use all kinds of enzymes to break down those biofilms, reduce food sensitivities, and reduce thyroid antibodies. I've had some people go into complete remission once they implemented systemic enzymes into their regime or regimen. And this is something I encourage you to look into. The thing is, you want to make sure that you're actually doing really big doses of them and that you're eating them, you're taking them without food. So I generally will recommend 5 to 10, 3 times a day on an empty stomach. It sounds like a lot. I know it's a lot of pills, but you only do it doing the gut protocol for 6 weeks. And in many cases, most cases, we see like a rapid reduction in thyroid antibodies, food sensitivity symptoms. Pain is another thing that seems to resolve with systemic enzymes and Wobenzyme. Can SIBO be a trigger for leaky gut than Hashi's Cassandra? Yes, Cassandra, SIBO is a trigger. About 54% of people with hypothyroidism will have it. I do cover it in the advanced protocols, and I have an assessment for you to figure out if that's a root cause for you. Let me see here. I have an assessment for you to figure that out. I tell you which tests to do and which protocols you can utilize to address SIBO, and then what to do if your SIBO doesn't want to go away. So that's in there for you. The way that the advanced protocols are broken down is starts off with an assessment that lets you figure out which things are relevant to you. And then once we go through the assessment, then you go to the chapter with all the triggers. And then I give you the tests you need to do, and then the protocols. So I give you medications, herbal options, as well as how to use food as medicine. Amanda, would IVIG treatment help with Hashimoto's? Intravenous immunoglobulins can help with Hashimoto's. They can help reduce thyroid antibodies. I haven't. I've surveyed my community with this a while ago, and there's research supporting their use, but they can be helpful, and definitely if you have the options, something you may want to explore. But there are other things that do work better, and they only do work short term. So usually it's 3 to 6 months, but definitely if you have a lot of symptoms, if you have a lot of high antibodies, multiple autoimmune conditions, that may be part of your plan. Let's see. Diana says endos are more narrow-minded than GPs often. Diana, unfortunately, that may be the case where there are some wonderful endocrinologists out there that have really understood the value of T4 and T3, and they're doing research. But a lot of them, they're like, this is my specialty. I know what I'm talking about. And they're not open to hearing these other things. And part of our mission is to get them to be open to those things. And the way that we're going to do that is if we show them some results. So if you have one that you're working with, you may want to let them test your antibodies and then let them know that you're making lifestyle changes and let them test your antibodies again and be a success story that proves them wrong in a nice way. And then they'll be able to help their other patients. I've seen this time and time again. So we've had many converts from GPs to endos to various types of practitioners that have said, hey, my patient was reading the root cause book, and they had these tremendous improvements, and I started reading it, and tell me more. So I've had quite a few conversations through phone and email with numerous physicians that have been more interested in this, and we're creating a movement. We're building relationships. We're letting doctors know that that this is something that we need help with, and they're going to be willing, some of them are going to be willing to change their ways. I know this. Kathy wants to know, do you recommend checking selenium levels? Is it okay to take 200 micrograms long term? Generally, it's okay to take long term that dosage. I don't recommend testing selenium levels. There's not an excellent test for them through blood testing. Valerie says, thank you so much. My Hashimoto's protocol is in the mail. I pre-ordered with Amazon. I will look at the advanced protocols. I'm so glad to hear that. Julie says, mine is on the way. Yay. Melissa, how much is the book? Melissa, normally the book is $30, but because today is the official publication date, Amazon is making it available. I think it's like $17 right now, which is, I've never seen it that low. And there's a link for you to get it off of Amazon. And it's something that you can buy from Amazon, and if you choose to own it, you keep it. That's up to you. If you choose to send it back, if it doesn't work for you, then they have an excellent refund policy. I know this because I oftentimes use it. I buy a lot of stuff from Amazon, from household things, like I like to actually buy my toilet paper from there and stuff like that, so I don't have to run a lot of errands. And they have an excellent return policy. So if you buy the book, as long as you're not like writing in it and putting in a puddle of mud or something like that, they'll let you return it. Diana, let's see here. Thanks for chatting with Sonia. Roxanne said I ordered my copy and should get it in 2 days. Woohoo! Yeah, Amazon Prime is awesome. You'll be able to get it in just 2 days. So you can grab, I just posted a link to where you can grab it. So it's like one of those little short links that'll take you directly to Amazon. It's probably too late for most of you guys to run out to Barnes & Noble or a bookstore, but generally Amazon is going to be the fastest way to get it, or through the bookstores. And you want to make sure that you get your copy, because it'll give you the tools you need to take back your health, really, and just we start seeing improvements with the liver protocol in just like 1 to 2 weeks. Yay. Lisa says, my antibodies were 5,553. I cut out gluten and they're down to 333. Lisa, congratulations on taking action. I'd love to give you a high five. That's amazing. That shows that your autoimmune condition is not as progressive and not as aggressive anymore. And so you've taken the right steps. I would consider that a remission, and keep on keeping on. You're doing great. Very, very proud of you. Nora says, just ordered the book. That's awesome. Suhala, what a beautiful name. Love the video series, the first book on the doctor list. How can your research help minorities who are discriminated and are unable to receive services, even from your list of physicians, due to long traditions of not being taken seriously? Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to hear that. And it's very, very challenging for me to hear that this kind of thing is still happening on a day-to-day basis in the United States and in Europe, that people are being discriminated against. I would love to collaborate on that. I would love to make sure that more people have access to the right kind of physicians. And I really think it starts with us creating a movement and letting people know that this is a need that we have and that this is valid. I know women are oftentimes ignored by their doctors, and they're called hypochondriacs. And I know various ethnicities and minorities are oftentimes disregarded, or people with various socioeconomic status may have challenges in receiving the proper care in their neighborhoods. For me, my blog, Thyroid Pharmacist, and Hashimoto's Protocol is my way of creating change in the world and trying to level the playing field for everybody. I post, as much as I can online, and I do talks that are free all the time, and my books are very, very low cost to get out into the world, so that everybody has access to these resources. And definitely you can get them through bookstores, you can get them on Amazon, and I know libraries are ordering the books left and right too. So hopefully that'll help you, give you some tools to take back your health. Melissa says, thank you. Lillian says, what if I don't want to eat paleo diet? Can I still reverse my symptoms? Lillian, I think not everybody who reverses their symptoms needs to go paleo, but I do encourage you to be open-minded and try to get into communication with your body to see what works best for your body. And in some cases that may be a specific diet. In other cases it might be a different kind of diet. All right, great questions, you guys. SIBO, Wendy wants to know, yes, SIBO, S-I-B-O, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. This is when bacteria that are normally present in our lower intestine sneak into the small intestine and cause leaky gut or intestinal permeability. And this leads to a lot of people having problems with leaky gut, and it can be a trigger for Hashimoto's. 50% of people with Hashimoto's have this. So Lynn and Angela, thanks so much for helping out. Sarah, is AIP the only cure for Hashimoto's? So Sarah, AIP is one of the protocols that's very, very helpful for Hashimoto's, and I recommend that along with other things. You're going to want to make sure you dial into your particular root causes and dial this into your body. So thanks so much for asking. I'm going to get my husband bring me some water. My voice is starting to give out here, but I'm really, really enjoying your questions here. I also have Hashimoto's flare up every time I eat. What can I take for it? Well, you want to do an elimination diet to figure out what your food sensitivities are and potentially look into doing digestive enzymes. The gut protocol in the Hashimoto's protocol is going to be your key to rebalancing that. And Diana said, great idea. Bring out the scientists in them. So this was in response to my suggestion of getting your doctors to test your antibodies before and after an intervention to get their little science minds excited. Hi, Michael. My husband is here, so he brought me some water. Yay. So we can continue chatting. Thank you, honey. Cassandra says, I have the root cause, going to order Hashimoto's protocol tonight. Diagnosed a year ago, doing better, but just finished SIBO treatment and struggling with low FODMAP and IAP. Thank you so much. Cassandra, thanks so much for writing in. So we do have some meal plans and recipes for you when you pre-order the book. If you order from Amazon, if you go to thyroidpharmacist.com/Amazon, you'll be able to get some meal plans and recipes. Keep up the great work. Low FODMAP, it's a bit of a challenge to get it adjusted, and we do want to follow that for a time period. Once SIBO is eradicated, the good news is we don't have to follow low FODMAP long term, and we don't necessarily have to follow AIP long term. So I did the autoimmune paleo diet. One of the first things I was able to introduce back into my life were tomatoes. I never had an adverse reaction to them. I grew up eating organic tomatoes my whole life from my mother's garden, and I refused to eat any other tomatoes because once you have organic heirloom tomatoes, others just don't taste right to you. And so as I wasn't, those were never an issue for me. And then I started adding in more and more foods. And now I'm at the point where, I try to eat pretty clean when I'm at home, if I'm doing my own cooking, because that's easy. But when I travel, or even on days like this, I get, I have a lot of variety in my foods. I'm still gluten-free and dairy-free. And like I said, I avoid nuts because my body tends to hoard copper. But other than that, you're going to be able to get rid of the restrictive diets. They're just meant as healing therapeutic diets. Lisa says, I see many success stories. I'm so glad to hear that. Stephanie says, I just got my book today and I'm going to get root cause too. Teresa says, I'll be ordering after the video. That's so great. I think it'll be really, really helpful for your journey. Jessica said, my joint pain improved on autoimmune paleo. Yes, yes, yes. Jessica, congratulations. I have the root cause, going to order Hashimoto's protocol tonight. That's awesome. Sarah says, I pre-ordered, can't wait to get started. Angela says, puddle of mud, you're so great. I'm glad you guys enjoy my humor. Just a little joke. I have little jokes in Hashimoto's protocol and in the root cause that you might find. Sometimes the editors try to cut them out. The editors I had this time around did not, so you'll get all of my little nerdy jokes in there, which will probably make it much easier for you to read the book about your health. Because, try to make it fun and interesting. So, Eileen wants to know where you located. I'm in Boulder, Colorado. I love it here. Got here as fast as I could. I've also lived in Los Angeles, Amsterdam, Netherlands, Chicago, Scottsdale, and Poland, and loved every single one of those places. Each of them holds a special place in my heart. Right now, Boulder is the place that has most of my heart, although, I'm looking forward to going back to Chicago, Poland, Los Angeles, Amsterdam, and as well as Texas, because that's where my husband is from, and Scottsdale, whenever I can. Pamela said, pick up 2 copies just so I could pass the information to my nurse practitioner. Thank you. Pamela, that's actually such a great idea. One of the best ways is if you have a supportive doctor in your life is to actually get them a copy of Hashimoto's protocol as well. So that they're on the same page as you are, because I know, there's a lot of healthcare professionals, especially ones that have maybe gone through a health challenge themselves, that are more willing to be open-minded and more willing to work with you. I know I recently, I went in for a breast exam maybe last year or so with a local Boulder doctor, and I was telling him about, what I do, and I work with people with Hashimoto's, and I was expecting, I was just like kind of making the assumption that they were like, well, what's more than Synthroid, right? And he was like, oh my goodness, my wife has Hashimoto's, and let me tell you, the standard of care just doesn't work. And so whenever you can educate a nurse practitioner, a doctor, a PA, you're helping so many other people. And I know, giving them a copy of my book can be really helpful. I think doctors and nurses are trained to trust pharmacists because we're sort of the people that that save their butts during clinicals, rotations, and even during practice. Because as pharmacists, we're sort of the people that are really deep in the research, and we're the ones that are calling doctors and letting them know, hey doc, there's this new drug, there's this drug interaction, there's this potential conflict with this medication. And a lot of pharmacists traditionally were working for pharmaceutical companies and educating doctors about proper use of drugs. And so there's a really great history and a really great relationship between doctors and pharmacists in terms of the education component. So I know a lot of healthcare professionals appreciate my background as a pharmacist from about Hashimoto's. And the other cool thing is, because traditionally pharmacists are very skeptical and very sciencey, they're kind of like, well, if a pharmacist is saying that there's more than you need to do than take drugs, then maybe there's something to it, which is just kind of like funny, ironic, I guess. I don't know. If I was, if I was a nutritionist, they probably would be like, oh, well, the nutritionist, I'm not going to take her advice on nutrition, which is ironic because they'll say, oh, well, it's a pharmacist, and pharmacists are, drug pushers. And since, she's saying there's more than drugs, then for some reason, in a strange way, it works. Anywho, let's see, guys, great questions. Heather said, just ordered, cannot wait. Woohoo, I want to start natural healing ASAP. Yes, Heather, these are tried and tested protocols. They're safe and effective. My primary concern as a pharmacist is to make sure that everything I recommend is safe and tested because I don't want you guys to have adverse reactions. I used to work in medication safety, and preventing adverse reactions was something that was my charge, and I was always evaluating. Initially, I was evaluating patients to make sure that they weren't having adverse reactions to drugs, and then I ended up teaching other pharmacists on how to do so with their patients. Reposition here, make sure my sound is still good. Do SSRIs cause thyroid problems? SSRIs can potentially suppress they can actually cause potential issues with getting proper thyroid testing. That's been one thing I found. They can sort of mask some of the symptoms and mask some of the labs. They can suppress TSH even when our body is not producing enough thyroid hormone. And how lithium is not an SSRI, it's a different type of drug used for mental health issues, for bipolar disorder specifically. That can actually, that has been correlated with thyroid autoimmunity and has been recognized as a trigger for thyroid disease. SSRIs haven't necessarily been specifically recognized as a trigger, but we don't have a lot of research on that at this point. What can I do for the exhaustion? Carmen wants to know. Carmen, one of the key things, and I cover this in the adrenal protocol, is making sure you have sufficient nutrients. One of the most helpful ones is thiamine, thiamine, and that's B1. It's also known, I like the benfotiamine version, which is more absorbable and has some immune modulating properties, around 600 milligrams per day. Pure Encapsulations makes one called Benfomax. This has helped a lot of my clients and readers tremendously. Within 3 days of starting the supplement, people can say that they've taken back their health and then they have more energy just within 3 days. My sweetie's here with refreshments. Thank you, sweetie. I'm getting so many great questions. I want to try to cover them all. My TSH was 3 and antibodies about 100, eating anti-inflammatory diet and take supplements but still having trouble losing weight. Any recommendations? I just want to commend you on taking charge of your own health. I think that's a really, really great start. One of the things I recommend doing is making sure that your blood sugar is balanced. In Hashimoto's protocol, I have a section on dialing in your nutrition. So whether you're losing too much weight or whether you're not losing enough weight, I have information on how to do that in there. And you're going to be modifying that. And so there's ways that you could eat foods throughout the day. Specifically, you want to start off with a very heavy breakfast in the morning. And my root cause smoothie that's in the book can help you get stabilized. Gabriella, can you please explain why Candida has to be addressed before getting started on LDN? Thank you. So Gabriella, this is a really, really great question. And I'm not sure that the mechanism has been well defined to my best of knowledge, but there is something where it can block the endorphin effect of the low-dose naltrexone, which is how low-dose naltrexone works. So it's definitely something we want to make sure you address. I do have Candida protocol in Hashimoto's protocol. This is in the advanced protocol section. And I also have information on how to use LDN in there too. Great question. Donna, I take ADB5 and Adaptanol. Do I have to take adrenal supplements forever and now feel well? Can I stop the supplements? So I'm so glad to hear that you're doing adrenal supplements. I utilize very similar ones in the adrenal protocol book for you to help you feel better, because that can be a key to your energy, even your weight. Do you have to treat them forever? So generally I recommend with adrenal protocols anywhere from 3 months to 2 years. And that would depend on where your adrenals were when you started, where your current stress level was, and how you feel. And I cover that in the advanced adrenal protocols, which kind of protocols you need to do. And I also have the advanced, there's actually 2 protocols for the adrenals. There's the fundamental adrenal protocol, and then there's the advanced adrenal protocol. So the fundamental adrenal protocol is adaptogens to rebalance the stress response. And then that works for 80% of people. For people that continue to struggle, we go into the advanced adrenal protocols when we start utilizing some hormones. And I have information in there for you to determine what stage of adrenal dysfunction you were in when you started. And basically, if you were in stage 1, you would want to utilize the supplements for 3 months after you feel better. If you were in stage 3, for anywhere from 6 months to 2 years from the time you felt better, because you're going to need that support long term. And it's also good for you to utilize adrenal support whenever you're getting sick, wherever you're under a lot of stress, or if you're moving, like any kind of life stressors, to get that dialed in. Part of my goal for you guys with the Hashimoto's protocol is help you to get into constant communication with your body and help you understand your body, so that whenever something else comes up, like let's say an infection caused your Hashimoto's, this will teach you how to figure out if you have that infection and how to get rid of that infection. And then if, let's say, you get another infection 5 years down the line, this will still be here for you to kind of give you that alert into like how your body's out of balance and how to build up the resiliency of your body. Mary wants to know, what do you think of natural thyroid meds? That can be really, really helpful. I recommend WP Thyroid or Nature-Throid. I have the advanced protocols, the medication. There's a chapter on optimizing thyroid hormones, and I cover the best types of thyroid hormones based on what my clients and readers reported. And let me tell you, majority of them prefer natural desiccated thyroid. They just feel significantly better. Angela said, I'm going to pick up both books in time for my next appointment with my GP. That's amazing. I'm so glad to hear that. Let's see. Sean says, what about ORDS thyroiditis? This is going to be helpful for that as well. What are your thoughts on amalgam mercury fillings and Hashimoto's? I'm planning on removing mine, seeing holistic dentist. Make sure that you read this book before you remove them. I have information on there on how to properly remove your amalgams. For some people, they're an issue, and you want to do this. There's a specific test, ELISA, to determine if you are mercury sensitive. If you test positive on this test, then yes, then removing them is a priority, but you want to make sure you do it properly. And there's information on how to do that here. Let's see. I just finished The Thyroid Secret, Alicia says. When you talked about the cold laser therapy and lowering antibodies, that caught my attention. I had that done with my chiropractor 5 years ago, and that totally helped me, not knowing about it back then, just trying to piece everything together. Alicia, I'm so excited to hear that. Low-level laser therapy is a really, really exciting medical advance where it's used over the thyroid gland for 5 to 10 sessions. And we see a lowering of thyroid antibodies, and about half of the people, when done properly, they will have all of them will have a reduction in their thyroid hormone dose. Half of them will be able to get off of thyroid hormones completely. Thyroid glands that are enlarged, such as goiters, normalize, and thyroid glands that are shrunken actually normalize as well. I have low-level laser therapy protocols in the advanced protocols of this book to also let you know what you need to do when you're using low-level laser therapy to make sure that it works correctly. One thing that not a lot of people are aware of, and I've been talking to a lot of doctors about this, is when you use antioxidants, that can actually turn off the lasers. The way that the lasers work is they increase oxidative stress, and that gets us to start healing, and that's how they work. When you use antioxidants, which are in normal circumstances very good for Hashimoto's and oftentimes recommended by natural doctors, that can prevent that initial boost in oxidative stress that turns on the healing response. So I have information for you guys, like best practices on that in Hashimoto's protocol. Great questions, you guys. Diana says, thank you so much for taking your research to the page and making it something we can actually implement step by step. Hashi's brain fog. Lack of energy makes it hard to actually do the things we learn about because we just don't know how much to start and what to expect. So thank you so much. Taya, thanks so much for saying that. When I first came out with Hashimoto's The Root Cause, I didn't want to give people specific protocols because I didn't want them to think I was biased or had an agenda. And my agenda is really just to help you guys recover your health. And one of my readers actually asked me for specific protocols, and she's like, hey, can you develop specific protocols for us? Can you just tell me exactly what to do? What steps do I need to take? And I was like, well, there's pros and cons. But as I got more experience, I found that there were things that worked for the majority of people. 80% of people got better when we did these fundamental things. And so I've outlined them here for you guys. So you have a go-to protocol where you just take the right steps, and 80% of you will feel significantly better. And then for the 20%, I also have advanced protocols in case you need to modify things. I really, really hope this book helps you take charge of your health. It's going to be, it's my life's work. It's really a big passion of mine to heal as many people as possible with Hashimoto's and help you guys overcome, help you feel like yourself again, help you be the person that you want to be in the world, because I know how hard it is to be dragged down by symptoms, by panic attacks, by anxiety, by weight, by fatigue, by hair loss. So I hope that you guys will pick up a copy of Hashimoto's Protocol. Again, it's on Amazon right now if you want to get it fast. And then it's also going to be on available in bookstores. In Amazon, I actually just went into Barnes & Noble and got my copy today, purchased it, and signed some copies as well. The bookstore, asked me if I could sign a few copies, which was really fun. Hopefully, if you go to Boulder, you can get it there. You can get a signed copy. Actually, the price is much, much better on Amazon. So it's $17 right now, $17.25 from what I hear. And I've never seen it this low, and I think they're doing a special because today is the first day that the book is available. And then they have that wonderful 2-day shipping, which I love. Diana says, love your necklace like the Root Cause book. Thank you so much. My mom got this for me for Christmas, and I love the tree because the tree, the leaves represent our symptoms, And then the root causes represent what's actually going on underneath the surface. And so obviously I'm all about getting to the root cause and helping you guys resolve those symptoms by laying down some fundamentals. Donna, thanks for helping Trisha out. Ferdo says thyroid nodules. I should mention, you guys, thyroid nodules, it's not called nodules protocol, but Hashimoto's protocol will help resolve thyroid nodules. I could say this with confidence because I've had quite a few people that said they utilized the protocols I've outlined on my blog and in my first book, and that's helped them get rid of nodules. I have one person who, I actually have some consecutive lab tests of them doing year after year, nodules shrinking with utilizing the autoimmune paleo diet, treating gut infections, using nutrients that I recommend for Hashimoto's. So if you have nodules, know that you can get rid of them. And I will be writing a blog post on it soon, but in the meantime, all the information you need for nodules is in Hashimoto's protocol. Angela, is +1 Candida albicans considered high? It can be, so anything +1, +2, +3, that's something you want to treat. I do have a Candida protocol in the advanced protocols here that's tried and tested. Patrice, thank you so much for sharing this. I really appreciate it. Peggy, how do you deal with seasonal allergies? I have adrenal issues and hypothyroid. Actually, one of the keys is supporting your liver, adrenals, and gut. So we see allergies and multiple chemical sensitivities reduce when we support the liver. Adrenals help to boost. When you boost adrenal function, you also see a reduction in allergies. One of the cool things that you guys, this is like one of my little pharmacist nerd outs, but some of the drugs used for allergies are known as corticosteroid drugs. And usually, of course, they have a lot of side effects because they're not naturally made, but our adrenals produce natural steroids. And when they're in the right amounts, they balance our allergic response. So this is something that if you get your adrenals in balance, you're going to be producing the right levels of cortisone and cortisol. And this is something that's anti-inflammatory when it's in the right amounts and anti-allergy. Rhonda, do you have an opinion on taking DHEA if you have Hashimoto's and your DHEA is low? So yeah, I actually do have certain instances where I'll use DHEA. Generally for women, I like to microdose it, so 1 milligram 3 times a day is probably, or maybe 2 milligrams 3 times a day is when I would max it. And it's going to depend on your level of adrenal dysfunction and how I would dose it. I have that information in the advanced protocols and Hashimoto's protocol. So when you go to, let's see if I could pull up the page here. Adrenal protocols for overcoming traumatic stress, 283. Page 283, I go through how to use DHEA and pregnenolone and what doses of each you need to use depending on your lab results. And I always recommend for those hormones that you use them under the supervision of a physician. DHEA specifically, you don't want to use if you have a history of estrogen-based cancers, because DHEA can turn into estrogens, so that can kind of drive up that response. Ferdos, can you have Hashimoto's even if there are no antibodies? Yes, so there's something that's called seronegative Hashimoto's, and that can be no antibodies, but you still would have the attack on your thyroid gland. Desiree, hives is a symptom I can't figure out. What's the root cause for them? Desiree, you're in the right place. Blastocystis hominis is a trigger for hives, Hashimoto's, and IBS. You get rid of, it's a protozoan parasite. You get rid of it. Your hives go away, your IBS goes away, and your Hashimoto's can go into remission. This is in the advanced protocol, so I have how to test for it, what the symptoms are, and what kind of protocols to use. So traditional doctors might say it's supposed to be there, it's not, and they the treatments they might recommend might not be effective. There's, you know, I kind of having fun nerding out on my pharmacy stuff with you guys, but there's different types of protocols for different pathogens, and some pathogens develop what's known as resistance, where they do not die when you give them certain types of treatments when they should. And so Blasto is resistant to metronidazole, which is the standard of care drug used to treat it. And so I have recommendations in here for you, and some of them are pharmacologic, so things you could do with your doctor. And I also have an alternative herbal protocol that I've piloted with a lot of my clients. It's 60 days long, but it's much more gentle than using anti-parasitic meds, and it has fantastic results where I would say, in every retest and symptomatically we see, I would say 100% success rate. Stephanie, should I do an allergy food test before doing AIP? Not necessarily. So I would recommend that you have hives too, so I'd recommend that you look into Blasto and start off with an elimination diet. Sometimes the tests done by allergists, there can be a waste of money because they're not testing for the right response. So IgG is known as I can't talk. IgG. Okay, so there's different parts of the immune system. There's one part that's the IgE system, and this is what allergies are. This is what allergists test for. So if you're allergic to peanuts and you have hives and you have throat swelling every time you eat peanuts, that's IgE. There's also IgG, which is what food sensitivities are, and Hashimoto's is also an IgG type of reaction. This is known as a delayed type 4 hypersensitivity reaction. So this type of reaction can occur when we have Hashimoto's, and the best way to test it is either through IgG tests, which most allergists are not going to know about, or through doing an elimination diet. So I hope that's helpful. Let's see. Tasha says, if only one of my antibodies is elevated, could that be Hashimoto's? Yep. TPO or TG could be elevated. Let's see. Bridget says, thanks for sharing your knowledge. I'm halfway through your first book and waiting on my pre-order of the next book. Cannot wait. I'm so excited that you're going to read it, and I hope it helps you. Let's see. Tasha. Oh, we already answered that. Melissa, I just bought the book. Wonderful. I hope it helps you on your journey. Donna says, thanks for your response on the adrenals. Yay. Diana and Andrea saying hello to each other. It's nice to know that you ladies are here supporting one another. Let's see here. Mervis, I was diagnosed with low thyroid and experienced terrible brain fog along with constant fatigue. Will this brain fog ever go away? I'm taking adrenal support and tyrosine. Thanks for your support. Yes, definitely. The brain fog can go away, and I recommend you utilize the Hashimoto's protocol. The liver support is going to be really helpful for you. The adrenal protocol is going to be really helpful. Thiamine can be a tremendous help in brain fog. Getting on T3 can be helpful. There's also a supplement known as L-carnitine, and I have that in the book as well. That can be helpful for some people with brain fog. I hope that helps, and know that there is an answer. You don't have to be brain fogged forever. Thyroid levels are within range, antibodies elevated, nodules negative for cancer, Hashimoto's. Yeah, generally antibodies and nodules are going to indicate Hashimoto's. So that would be something, of course, I can't diagnose you over the internet. And as a pharmacist, I don't diagnose. So that's something to ask your doctor. But generally, that's a typical profile for Hashimoto's. And you're probably in the early stages, so it's really great that you caught it early. We can start implementing these protocols, and we can get those antibodies and nodules resolved, prevent symptoms, prevent damage to your thyroid gland. Linda, how did you know you were hoarding copper? I would have breakouts whenever I would eat high copper foods, and nuts would make me nuts. So I would get emotional around my period whenever I had nuts. If I didn't have nuts, I would not have any problems. And that was one of the ways I found that out. I also did some testing, and I cover information on the kind of tests you can do to determine if you are copper toxic. I do have a copper protocol in Hashimoto's protocol that goes through how to keep your body in balance if your body tends to hoard copper like mine does, and how to get rid of that excess copper, and what some of the foods are. And for some people, it's a genetic issue. For other people, it's something that, you just were exposed. Maybe you had a copper IUD or another kind of copper in your water supply. And so then it's just a matter of resolving that initial copper toxicity, and then it's a matter of preventing additional exposure for other people. It's like even the amounts from foods and the nutrients is going to be an issue. This book does go into does go into a little bit about nutrigenomics for you guys in a very, very approachable format. So nutrigenomics is this entire huge study of how genes and foods interact with nutrition. And I go into the most common ones in Hashimoto's. So how do you modify your nutrition based on the symptoms you're having? So for example, the MTHFR gene mutation, the CBS mutation, what to do when you have these and how to properly accommodate them with nutrients and foods. Roberta says, getting mine tonight. Woohoo! Peggy, which book is the best one to start if I have adrenal issues? Probably stage 3. I would say start with this one because I've piloted this adrenal protocol over the last 4 years. So it gives you very specific action steps that you can take on and just boom, boom, boom. This is what you do for 4 weeks. This is how you rebalance your adrenals. Anna says, I've ordered my copy. That's great. Candy says, so there's hope to feel better. Absolutely. Let's see. Melissa says, I'm overrun with fungus and yeast issues right now. So we cover that in here. There's a question about Epstein-Barr virus. What are some of the things to get rid of it? I do have Epstein-Barr virus protocols in here. And one of the key things is making sure that your vitamin D level is in balance and that your adrenals are strong for overcoming the virus. And there's also some antiviral protocols. I have some medication-based one as well as some herbal-based ones for you guys in there that can be helpful in taking a reactivated Epstein-Barr virus infection and getting it more dormant again. Monique says, I need a wellness center to help with starting the Hashimoto's treatment. Open one up, please. Thanks so much for asking. Definitely, I'm doing everything in my power I can to make Hashimoto's, give you guys the best tools and resources. Hashimoto's protocol is going to be your key to getting your health back and recovering your health, and it's going to make you the most empowered person you can be, and even give you the ability to work with people who are not as knowledgeable as Hashimoto's as we should be. Change, of course, takes a long time, and this is your best bet to start feeling better right away. Donna says, thank you for all you're doing and sharing the info. Just bought your new book this evening. So wonderful to hear that. I appreciate the feedback and I appreciate you supporting the book on Amazon and getting it into your hands. I know that it'll help you, and I know that everybody buying it is going to get more people interested in it. So people that would have never heard of it are going to pick it up because you guys are showing a demand, and doctors and healthcare professionals and companies that were never cared about Hashimoto's will start caring because we're showing that this is relevant for our country. It's relevant in our culture. Many of us are affected. 27% of the population has this condition, and we're showing that this is a big need that we have. And so right now I know it's very popular on Amazon, and people definitely, doctors are going to be watching. And so if you guys pick it up off of Amazon, you'll be able to be part of creating the change and getting Hashimoto's, getting people the proper treatment once and for all, because we deserve it. We deserve the proper care. Like it's so frustrating for me to see people just being told that nutrition doesn't matter, that they just need to take Synthroid, that they just need to exercise more, and that those are lies, and then they're very, very disempowering. Lynn, how important is removing fluoride from toothpaste and water? It's really important. Fluoride is a thyroid toxin. It can be very, very toxic for our thyroid glands. It can suppress thyroid function, destroy thyroid tissues. I recommend a reverse osmosis filter. It's so important. That's one of the things I have you guys do in the liver protocol. So that's like one of the kickstart things. Another toxin is triclosan. It's added to our soaps, and it's added to our toothpaste, and it's been banned from soaps but not from toothpaste. So you want to get like a natural toothpaste that's fluoride and triclosan free, and that's been banned by the FDA because it's a thyroid hormone disruptor. I wrote about it in 2013 in The Root Cause. It finally got banned like earlier, either this year or last year, but that just kind of gives you guys an idea of the cutting edge stuff that is in this book that you're not going to hear anywhere for at least another 5 years. And you know, it's really built on what's in The Root Cause. Anita, what's the supplement for fatigue called thiamine? Will it reduce thyroid cysts as well? Yes, so thyroid cysts and nodules can be improved by the Hashimoto's protocol. Julie says, hi, Andrea. Oh, Leah says, I'm a little confused. The liver support protocol, there are multiple supplements. You only take them for 2 weeks. So you do there's a powder you can take that mixes in everything that you need to take. And then there's methylation support, and you take that for 2 weeks, and then, you know, then you're done with it. So it's just like a reset type of thing. Jolie says, is the book available in Canada? It is available in Canada, and my husband just let me know that yesterday it was the #2 book on all of Amazon in Canada, and I think Zelda was #1. So if you go to Amazon Canada, you'll be able to find that there if you look for Hashimoto's. Janice, thanks. Janice, thank you so much for sharing the video. I really appreciate it. If you guys share the video to your timeline, if you think this information is helpful and life-changing, I think it is. I think you'll be able to help another person change their life and get them to start feeling better. So please share it on your timeline. I really appreciate it. Carmen says, just bought the book. I'm so excited. Can't wait to see your success story. Sarah says, yes, Jolie, you can order it on Amazon. Monique says, there's so many possible root causes. I feel like I'll never figure this one out. I truly hope your book works for me. So Monique, the good news is that the fundamental protocols will work. So the liver, adrenal, and gut protocols, which are the fundamental protocols in this book, will work regardless of what your root cause is, because they're built on supporting your own body's pathways. So they're supporting your liver, they're supporting your gut, they're supporting your stress response, and you'll feel significantly better. Then I have an assessment to help you dial in your particular root cause. So I ask you questions, and then you fill out the questions, and that guides you toward what your root cause might be. And so this is something that I've tested over and over again. And there's certain things that I can pick up on that I ask you guys about. For example, if you tend to have low B12 levels, that's potentially a small intestinal bacterial overgrowth thing. If you have, let's see here, what are some other kind of fun things I can throw out at you guys? If you had a mystery illness and never quite felt the same after, there's a good chance that Epstein-Barr virus is your root cause. If you have nasal congestion or sinusitis, there's a good potential that mold is your root cause. If you have irritable bowel syndrome, there's a good chance that a gut infection is your root cause. If you have hives, your root cause is likely Blastocystis hominis. If you had acid reflux, it's either going to be H. pylori, SIBO, or it's going to be a food sensitivity. If you have foul-smelling stools, there's a good chance that it's Giardia. You know, if you have bleeding gums, there's a good chance that it's periodontitis that's a root cause, or a parasite inside of your gums. So these are all, you know, I'm really excited for you guys, because this is going to help you feel significantly better, and this is going to help you dial into your root cause. Laura says, I was waiting for today. I have ordered my copy. I'm so glad to hear that. Peggy says, thank you so much. I'm so glad. I appreciate that. Let's see. Desiree says, you're the best. Thanks for your hard work. I haven't had the hope, and now I do. Thanks to you. Thank you so much for saying that. That made my day. Let's see here. B1 has helped so much, Lisa. Lisa, thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate it. Peggy says it's so relevant. Lauren says, how do you feel about the autoimmune protocol? I love it. It can be tremendously helpful. About 75% of people with Hashimoto's feel significantly better with it. I've tweaked it just a tad bit, and so I have the root cause autoimmune protocol in here, and it's based on my experience with people with Hashimoto's. So it's the autoimmune protocol is for people with autoimmune disease, and there are some things that may be wonderful, like seaweed, but that's not optimal for people with Hashimoto. So I've just made some modifications for you guys, just from what I've seen with Hashimoto's patients. And I have a lot of ways in the nutrient chapter on how to modify things for yourself. Before I knew how nutrition plays a role in disease, I asked my endocrinologist if I should eat differently. He said, no, just take your meds, Linda. Fortunately, that's such a common thing that we hear from our doctors. And, you know, ladies, gentlemen, let's prove them wrong, right? So let's go out there, take charge of our own health, ask them to be scientists, and let's show up with this army of 10,000 success stories of people who've taken back their health using nutrition, the root cause protocol, Hashimoto's protocol, and really showing up for ourselves. I know together we can do it, and we're powerful in numbers. You know, it's not just one crazy woman talking, shouting things from the rooftop when we're all having the same results. And I'll tell you that I could speak very confidently on that with working with over 1,000 people. It's like we all have very similar timelines, and we all have very similar predictable results, and we all benefit from these fundamental protocols. So 80% of people with Hashimoto's will get significantly better when you support the liver, adrenals, and gut. And this is something that is a fundamental. I think it should be taught everywhere. I'm excited in getting it out into the world, and I'm really excited for you guys to try it because I know it's worked so well with my clients and people that have gone through my program over the last couple of years. So yay. Carmen, asthma, what is the sensitivity? So a lot of the things in Hashimoto's protocol can be helpful. With asthma, and N-acetylcysteine can be helpful in helping to support the lungs. Selenium can be helpful. You also want to look at potential infections and dairy sensitivity. Everything that you go through in Hashimoto's protocol will help you. Linda, where can you order a blasto test? You can order that through 401H. I have information for self-ordering labs in Hashimoto's protocol. Shauna says, I just finished root cause and waiting for your new book to be delivered. I feel so helpful. I'm so excited to see what's going to happen when you try the protocols. Marita says, thank you so much for your work. Yay. Appreciate that. Carmen says, thank you for speaking to us. Your time and passion. Can't wait for your book and kindness. Thank you so much for saying that, Carmen. I really, really appreciate that. It's been, it's been a lot of work to get this book out in the world. I'm not going to lie. It's been, you know, a lot of writing, a lot of researching, a lot of trying to analyze patient results, a lot of working with people, a lot of late nights. You know, at one point I even got carpal tunnel, and then I developed a protocol for carpal tunnel on how to reverse it really quickly. So I'll be sharing that with you guys when you pre-order. That's going to be in there, or when you order and you get some of the bonuses, that's going to be included in there too. And you know, it's been challenging. My hubby and I have both been working really hard, so he's been cooking for me to make sure that I get this out into the world. We had a wonderful team of editors, just a wonderful, wonderful publishers, and a wonderful team behind us who made this book possible and getting it out into the world, and been truly a blessing with so many patients who have shared their stories, with so many of my colleagues who have helped me with, you know, answering my questions. And just this book has been huge passion project, big part of my heart. I feel like I was calling it my book baby today. I feel like I'm just gave birth today because it has been a lot of work in getting it to you guys, and I'm so happy that it, you know, like I'm just so proud of it. It's going to be the most approachable book that is out there, the most helpful book that's out there, and most up to date, the most current. And yeah, you guys, I'm so excited because you're not going to find this information anywhere else, and it's going to help you tremendously. I can't wait to hear about your success stories. You guys have to keep in touch, and you have to let me know how it works out, because I know that it will. And I always get giddy when I hear a success story, when something has improved for you. Trying to collect, I want to have 10,000 of them this year. So 2017 is the year that we're taking back their health, right? Lisa said, amazing. You said correlation between mold and sinusitis. Yeah, absolutely, Lisa. I'm glad that resonated for you. I have mold protocols and Hashimoto's protocol and how to test for mold. And you know, you could have multiple root causes that cause you to have a breakdown of your immune defenses. Julie says, functional medicine, lifestyle, and wellness educator. Yes, thank you. We need more of you. I treat Hashis a lot. I cite your book and patients' treatment plans. Julie, I'm so happy to hear that. Yeah, if we can, let's change the system. Let's get this information out there. I so appreciate your support and so appreciate you helping patients with thyroid disease. I want to share a little bit of an excerpt from the book. I've been having so much fun chatting with you guys. Let me just do a little part. This is something that I'm really proud of that I came up with based on Hashimoto's, like my thyroid patients and seeing what their presentations are. So this is the root cause research corner. So I have portions throughout the book that share kind of the latest research in bite-sized amounts. And then most of the book is very practical and it's assessment based. So I go through asking you questions so that you can figure out what's going on in your life. And then I have really practical things. So like, here's a list of my favorite personal care products. So I want to make it easy for you because I'm telling you that you know, a lot of personal care products are toxic. So here's a list of non-toxic ones and so on and so forth. So root cause research corner, origins of autoimmunity and my safety theory. Scientists have developed numerous theories of how autoimmune thyroid disease may be triggered. The theories that have been proposed include the following. Molecular mimicry theory suggests the cells of pathogens in our own thyroid look similar enough to confuse the immune system, resulting in an attack on the thyroid. The bystander effect theorizes that an infection is present within the thyroid gland and the immune system attacks the thyroid in an attempt to kill the infecting pathogen. So basically, this is usually viruses. They're inside of the thyroid gland and the immune system tries to kill the virus and it tries to kill the virus, doesn't necessarily succeed, and it kills the cells around the virus, which is usually thyroid cells. And this is Epstein-Barr virus is one particular virus. Thyroid-triggered autoimmune reaction proposes that any kind of damage to the thyroid results in the gland secreting danger-associated molecular patterns or damage-associated molecular patterns, DAMPs, that recruit inflammatory cells into the thyroid and further damage the thyroid gland. So what this means, in very simple terms, is that the thyroid gland can initiate autoimmunity. So the thyroid gland is our environmental sensing gland, and whenever it senses danger, it can trigger us to have an autoimmune response. So, and the way that I've summarized these theories and have put them together as well, based on my work with clients and all of the research, I'm sort of a Hashimoto's nerd. I spend a lot of time looking at the latest and greatest research. This is the nice part of my office here. So I have the root cause on display. I have Hashimoto's protocol on display. I have the thyroid secret up there. There's also a closet full of books and research papers that are like stacked yay high that I've reviewed for just about Hashimoto's. So pretty much if there's a research paper on Hashimoto's out there, I have seen it. I have, as a preceptor for pharmacy students, I have wonderful access as alumni of my university. And so I can be frequently found downloading exciting new research papers on Hashimoto's. So, okay, so I'd like to introduce you to the Isabella Wentz safety theory of autoimmune thyroid disease. The theory is based on the above mentioned theories, my work and observations with Hashimoto's, and adaptive physiology. Adaptive physiology is a concept that suggests that humans developed chronic illness to adjust to our environment and that the illness once served a protective role in the survival of our species, but became maladaptive in modern times. In cave times, our bodies adapted to intercept environmental threats as a signal that the world was a dangerous place, that this was not the best time to be adventurous or fertile, and that we needed to conserve resources. In a way, Hashimoto's and the resultant hypothyroidism may have evolved as an adaptive mechanism to help humans conserve resources and survive in times of famine, invasion, cold weather, disease outbreak, as the condition put them into a quasi-hibernation mode so that they were more likely to retreat to their caves, survive on fewer calories, and conserve energy by sleeping more. In modern times, nutrient depletions, inflammatory foods, Stress, toxins, gut permeability, and infections can set off the same danger signal to our body and trigger the autoimmune thyroid cascade. How can we override this signal? In simple terms, we must eliminate the things that make the immune system believe that we are in danger and that we need to conserve energy and resources. I found that there are universal things that everyone with Hashimoto's can do to feel better based on the safety theory. This theory is the guiding principle for this book. The fundamental protocols and the advanced protocols work to send safety signals to your body by eliminating perceived threats. So really, the reason why we develop Hashimoto's is because we have these old genes, right? They are not adapted to our current environment. And so a lot of the signals that we're sending our bodies are making our bodies feel like there's a threat, that there's a famine, that there's something wrong, right? And so what are we doing in our lives that's making our body feel like there's a famine? One really, really important thing to think about, for example, with food, I think this is a really easy example, is food sensitivities. When you think about the modern diet, it's very heavily based on wheat. Now, when you think about where wheat came from before it was processed, it was a grass, right? And generally, cavemen and cavewomen, we weren't cows, right? So we're not eating wheat. We weren't eating grass because we didn't have the proper way to break it down. And so this food or plant, whatever you want to call it, is inflammatory to the body. And in cave times, the only reason we would eat grass, right, is if we were sick, or if we didn't have enough, if we didn't feel well, or if we didn't have enough food in our environment. And now in modern times, all we do is eat grass, right? When we're eating the standard American diet. And so this is kind of a way where eating processed food sends a signal to our body that, hey, I'm eating something that's inflammatory to me. I normally wouldn't I wouldn't be doing this if there was an abundance of food, right? And also when you eat processed food, you become nutrient depleted. And whenever you don't have enough nutrients on board, this is a signal to your body that food is not abundant, because in cave times, you were properly, you had proper nutrients on board because foods were far richer in nutrients. With all of our farming, conventional farming methods, even our highly nutritious plants are not going to have as much nutrition nowadays as they did even 20, 30, 40 years ago. This is why organic is always key. So the way that we balance that is we remove inflammatory foods and we give ourselves nutrient-dense foods, and then we also supplement with nutrients that we can't get from our foods. And so this is all covered in there. Melissa says, I'm super excited too. Yes. Soon says, thank you for your hard work and dedication. I appreciate that. Carmen says, you give me hope. Yay. Oh, wow. Jen says, I'm a nutrition counselor and cancer survivor of childhood cancer. Amazing. Congratulations. Hashimoto's, Graves, and hypothyroidism. My patients tell me all over how their conventional doctors say to reduce calories and exercise more. Yes, this is going to make people feel worse, and that puts them in that state of famine, right? So that sends that signal to the body that we're not safe. My mission is to help individuals never have to feel dismissed. Oh, thank you. I love what you're doing. I'll do everything in my power to help these individuals. Thank you for being such an amazing mentor to me. I appreciate you. Jen, thanks so much for saying that. I really appreciate the work that you're doing in the world. Really appreciate how you're showing up and you're helping people with autoimmune thyroid disease. Yay. So you guys, there's help out there. We're creating a movement to help people with autoimmune thyroid disease. You're part of that movement, so get involved, take action, take back your health. Pick up a copy of Hashimoto's Protocol. If you've already picked it up, I know many of you have. I'm so grateful for you for doing that. It's been my life's work. My heart is to get it out to you guys so that it helps you recover your health. If you could take the chance to write a review of it, I would greatly appreciate it. That would help me spread the word and help me to get it to other people who may be skeptical, who may not think that these natural strategies may work. I know that Amazon is running a special for it, so right now it's only $17.25. It's usually a $30 book, and so this is the cheapest way you can get it. They're only running this special on publication date, and from what my publishers told me that this is going to end in about 2 hours. I think at Eastern time is when things at midnight Eastern is when things start switching over. So if you wanted to grab your copy, you can go over to the link I have in the description here, Hashimoto's Protocol on Amazon. So we've got, we've got like, this book is everywhere now. Amazon is the fastest way to get it to you, and it's also the least expensive way to get it to you. And I love that Amazon, if you don't like it, you can always return it. And I'm sure you will love it because the book is going to help you take back your health. And I've put a lot of my heart and soul and research and brain into it. So you'll see lots of pieces of that in there. So let's see. We have some more questions here from you guys. Just got your book in the mail, yay. Jolie says, I just ordered the book, so excited to take charge of my life and not have to count on my doctors that don't know anything about this disease. I'm so glad to hear that. You're gonna be one of those success stories, and I can't wait to hear that. Like, that's one of the keys, is having a great attitude and believing in yourself. There's a saying, and it's whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. So if you give yourself that power, you give yourself the empowerment, you're going to be able to take back your health. All the information that you need is going to be inside of Hashimoto's Protocol. Really, it's up to you guys to take charge and to implement the things, because I could tell you exactly what's worked. And then I know, like, once you start taking action, you're going to see that it does indeed work for you. So, yay, I'm excited. Joanne says, Isabella, I know I've asked a lot of questions. Thanks for answering some of them. Yay, I'm glad I was able to answer them. Thanks. I've been a fan since The Root Cause. One of my favorite things about your work is that you're a Hashimoto survivor. You've given so much hope to get well. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm 59 and have been sick so long. So many of the changes I've fought for with my doctors was because of things that have worked for you. Thank you so much for Hashimoto's Protocol. I can't wait to digest. I want to have the last years of my life to be filled with energy and good health. I'm so glad to hear that. I'm not there yet. You will get there. My daughter was diagnosed with Hashimoto's a couple of years ago, so when you help me, I help her. Thanks so much, and God bless you. Thank you so much for sharing that, Joanne. That really touched my heart, and I really hope that Hashimoto's Protocol helps you and your daughter. You deserve to feel better. You deserve to get well. Congratulations. Keep fighting for your health, and find some doctors that are going to be supportive of you, because it's a tough battle to fight against people, and there are people out there that want to help you and that want to serve you and want you to be an active part of your healing journey. So I'm so glad that you're taking these steps and that you're empowering yourself. So yay, and I look forward to hearing from you and hearing about your successes as you implement these protocols. So thank you so much for sharing that, and wishing your daughter all the best as well. Deanna's getting her book next week. Ferdo says food sensitivity tests are saying I'm not sensitive to gluten or milk. Should I still cut them out? Yeah, at least for 30 days. You can always go back to how you were eating before. I know at first I did not want to go gluten and dairy free. I didn't believe it, right? Skeptical pharmacist. And within 3 days, my acid reflux went away. Not all food sensitivity tests will reveal that you're sensitive to them. So there's specific tests I recommend, and they're listed in Hashimoto's Protocol as well, how you can self-order them. But some tests I've seen, like, patients have false negatives, and I'm like, okay, for example, if you have sinus congestion, ear infections, acid reflux, bloating, diarrhea, asthma, like, I'm 100%, or eczema and asthma, I'm like 99% sure that you're dairy sensitive. But I've seen some tests that come out negative, but sure enough, we get the person off of dairy and those things resolve. So definitely believe your body more than you believe any test. And the best test is to eliminate the foods for 30 days, see if you feel better, and reintroduce them and see how your body reacts. So I hope that's helpful, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens when you get rid of those foods, if what symptoms shed for you. Brandy says, I've been gluten-free, dairy-free, and soy-free for 3 weeks, as well as added B1 and selenium. Wow, I already feel so much better, and brain fog is clearing. You're a true blessing. Brandy, I'm so excited to hear that. So proud of you for taking charge of your own health. So proud that our awareness methods are working, and for getting this, just for seeing this trickle effect, and can't wait to see what's going to happen as you continue on this journey. For some people, doing that is a complete remission. For other people, may need to dig a little bit more. Either way, I'm here to support you. So, I'm here on this Facebook page. I try to pop in at least a few times a day. Hashimoto's Protocol is a great resource for you, and the Thyroid Pharmacist page. And I'm so proud of you for empowering yourself. And you guys, I hope that you're listening to the little success stories that we're getting, because I think it's a big success story. I think it's a huge opportunity to celebrate. If I had balloons, I would have them up. But you guys, like, take a step, take a chance, and the only thing you have to lose in most of the strategy, like every single strategy that's in the fundamental protocol, is safe and tested. So the only thing you have to lose is going to be, a symptom. And I can't wait to see you, like, getting your brain function back, and getting your groove back, and getting your you back. Like, that's so great. Melissa, what can you take for helping with sleep? One of the most helpful things that I encourage you to try out is magnesium at bedtime. And magnesium is one of my miracle nutrients. So magnesium can help with menstrual cramps, anxiety, and sleep. And the amazing thing with menstrual cramps is if you take it before your period, so you want to give it about 2 weeks to build up in your body, you can have like debilitating menstrual cramps that will be like 90% gone the first month and 100% gone the second month, as long as you continue. And then you don't have to take ibuprofen, and you don't have to take a day off of work, and you start feeling better. Thyroid nodules can be helped by magnesium. Breast nodules can be helped by magnesium. All of these things. It's crazy, because I never learned about them in pharmacy school, and it's a little bit frustrating for me, because I went to pharmacy school because I wanted to know everything, right? And I learned so much about medications and diseases and all these things that I'm so grateful for. It gave me the brain, the research brain I have today, was going through that training. But at the same time, there was so much more that I didn't learn, and I feel like this information should be shared with the world, and that's why I'm putting it in Hashimoto's Protocol, all of these different things that can help you recover your health. And they're so easy and so inexpensive. Like, thiamine is like, $20 a month. Selenium is like $20 a month. Magnesium is, probably $20, $23 a month, depending on the size of bottle that you get of it. And it's like, you're paying pennies a day for something that's like tremendously life transforming. It's like, you can get rid of anxiety, you can get rid of insomnia, you can get rid of fatigue with like nutrients, and they're like so simple and so safe too. So Maria says, yay, I just bought your book from Guatemala. You're doing a great job. Oh, thank you so much. I'm so excited. Latin America's in the house. I'm so excited that you're taking charge of your own health. Lynn says, I just ordered. Jules said, I just purchased my book. So congratulations, you guys. Thank you so much for taking action. I think this is going to help you tremendously. This is like the first step for you guys in taking back your health. For many of you, I know this is going to be an introduction. For some of you that have been on this journey for quite some time, you're going to actually see improvement. So the fundamental protocols, these are things that have worked for people that have already read my first book, that have already worked with functional medicine doctors, and even people that I was working with. When I started doing the fundamental protocols, people actually started getting better quicker than from the traditional ways that I was working with them. So I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited that you're going to get the Hashimoto's Protocol, and that you're going to start implementing the three protocols, the three fundamental protocols. You guys want to do the liver, adrenals, and gut first. Give yourself space and time to heal. It's all outlined for you. You just have to, implement. I've got the information in there for you, not hiding any secrets, not like trying to get you to, I don't know, like consult with me or anything. Like, I put every single thing out there in there for you so that you can help yourself, as well as how to call on more help so that, everybody could benefit from this. Melissa said, oh yeah, I have eczema. So yeah, this is something I've seen disappear with the Hashimoto's Protocol, with the root cause protocol that I've outlined. Jules said, I cannot eat anything, all foods hurt my tummy. So I'll be really, really excited for you to go through these protocols, especially the gut protocol, to see if we can resolve that and get you not to have stomach aches again. And I have to tell you guys, I used to have stomach aches every day, like as far back as I can remember. I just thought that was normal. I thought that was a part of who I was, and I thought it was normal to have stomach aches after I ate, and period cramps. And since I started eliminating foods, addressing my gut infections, and using magnesium, it's like, huh, my stomach doesn't hurt anymore. And period, what period, right? And so it's amazing. Like, you can just shed all of these symptoms. It's not normal to have a stomach ache every day. And we're going to help you get to feeling your best. Sancho, what a beautiful name. Thank you so much for this long-awaited information for so many of us. Is LDN part of your protocol? Sancho, thanks so much for asking. Thanks for your kind words. Hashimoto's protocol has 3 sections. The first section goes over the approach. The second section has fundamental protocols that everybody will benefit from regardless of their root cause, and they're meant to eliminate your symptoms. And this is supporting the liver for 2 weeks, supporting the adrenals for 4 weeks, and supporting the gut for 6 weeks. Beyond that, I have advanced protocols to get you dialed in for that. If you don't go into remission with the fundamental protocols, many people do, and many people eliminate their symptoms. But for the 20% that need more help, there's also the advanced protocols. And LDN is part of that advanced protocol, and that gives you how to use it and all the best practices for that. So it is something that I found to be very, very helpful for plenty of people. And you do want to make sure that you're working with somebody that knows how to utilize it. And I help give you some resources and guidelines for that. Nicole says, I ordered the root cause book and the Hashimoto's protocol from Amazon. They're the cheapest and they do ship. To Oz, cost for both books including shipping. Jules says, are cucumbers good for Hashimoto's? In most cases they are. They can be great foods to include. I have in the liver support protocol, I have a listing of my favorite foods to include. Let me read that off to you guys as soon as I find the page. All right, so let's see, 10 minutes go by, right? Let's see here. Add supportive foods. So I have a listing of my top 10 favorite foods. Hot lemon water, the root cause green smoothie. So this is going to help with detoxification and biting up some of the toxins. Beets, cruciferous vegetables. It's a myth. Crucifers are actually very helpful for people with thyroid disease unless they have issues with FODMAPs. Cilantro, fiber, sprouts and seedlings. I want to read this to you guys. The sprouts and seedlings of plants have natural enzymes that break toxins apart. In the last few decades, the use of plant enzymes has been recognized as a helpful method for clearing toxins and endocrine disruptors from water. While most studies have been done outside of the human body, a study using a powder from broccoli sprouts found that the sprouts were able to enhance detoxification of airborne pollutants. This may be especially important for people living in big cities that have a lot of toxins. Radish seedlings were shown to remove up to 88% of BPA, a thyroid-disrupting chemicals found in plastics. So if you guys watch the Hashimoto's, or the Thyroid Secret, we talked about how BPA found in plastics is a potent thyroid-disrupting chemical, and it builds up in our body. One of the ways to clear it from the body is by using radish seedlings. So I have all kinds of guidelines like that for you guys in there, how you can clear toxins from your bodies. It's like, how do we survive in a toxic world? And so, you know, these are strategies you could do that. Green juices and chlorophyll, fermented foods, and turmeric. Berries is number 11. So I thought I had top 10, but it was top 11. So I always try to sneak one extra thing in there. So these are the top 11 foods that are going to be helpful for you as you do the liver support protocol to help you detoxify and get your body in balance. I'm so excited, so excited. I may have been doing a little dance at the bookstore when I saw Hashimoto's protocol was on the shelves because I know it's going to help so many of you. Great questions, you guys. I'm a 50-year-old female who has experienced thyroid symptoms for majority of my life. About a decade ago, I happened to see a doctor who was not my own, told me that I had the thyroid issue just by looking at me, tested my TSH, but it was within normal, and wrote a script because he knew besides that. I thought he lost his mind and threw the script in the garbage. Guess he was not so crazy after all. Oh well, better late than never. You're an amazing person. Thanks for sharing your work. Monique, thanks so much for sharing the story. It's kind of crazy, maybe serendipitous a little bit. You know, I think the teacher comes when the student is ready, right? And so I'm really glad that you're ready to receive this message and take back your health. I know when I was in grad school and pharmacy school, I met somebody who told me I was magnesium deficient and that I had a thyroid problem. And I had IBS at the time, and I couldn't have rolled my eyes further in the back of my head because I thought this person was crazy. And I was like, well, magnesium is just going to give me more diarrhea. Like, you're crazy lady, what are you talking about? Yeah, and soon enough, a few years down the line, I learned that I actually did have a thyroid problem. She did it just by, looking at me. And magnesium is a really, really important nutrient for thyroid health. And so I wish I would have listened then, but I wasn't ready at the time, right? So I'm really happy to hear that you're here and ready. And I think the information on Hashimoto's protocol will be really, really helpful for you. Irene, I'd like you to start a Hashimoto's boot camp. Any thought? I like this idea. Let me see what I could do after I get a little bit of rest. So make sure that if you are on this Facebook page and you're watching, that you also sign up for my community. If you go to thyroidpharmacist.com/protocol or Thyroid Pharmacist, you'll be able to pre-order the book there, or thyroidpharmacist.com/gift. You'll be able to sign up for my community there, and then I can keep in touch with you guys in case, for any further things I decide to do, like a Hashimoto's boot camp, or, if we ever decide to do a liver support, like a group thing where we can all be in it together and have accountability with one another. I'd be happy to do that. I love you. I love you guys. I love your ideas. Keep them coming. Really, the Hashimoto's protocol happened because of one of my readers coming up to me and asking me if I can just come out with protocols. The Thyroid Secret happened because of my readers who asked me to do a documentary. The Rootology supplements happened because of my readers. So everything I do is really for you guys. I'm here to support you. This is my full-time gig, is being a thyroid advocate, Hashimoto's expert / human guinea pig, the thyroid pharmacist, just really getting you guys this information to help you. Like, this is really my life passion and life calling, and I'm here for you. So anything, you guys, please let me know what your suggestions are for, for articles, for future Facebook Lives, for boot camps, anything you guys think of. I want to make sure that I'm supporting you. Carmen and Jules are asking about magnesium. So I recommend magnesium citrate from Pure Encapsulations, and generally 1 to 4 is how many I recommend taking per day. You want to start off with 1, and if you have diarrhea and if you can't tolerate it, makes your diarrhea worse, magnesium glycinate is the version to take. And I should mention, in Hashimoto's protocol, I do have various protocols and dosing for like every single supplement and nutrient. So there's, in the liver, adrenal, and gut protocols, in the liver support, we introduce magnesium. We continue it in the adrenal protocols. And this is one of those long-term things I recommend as well, because it's hard for us to be sufficient in magnesium. And in the advanced nutrients chapter, I also go through how to take various nutrients and supplements and what dosages. Let me see if I could find one of the charts I have for you guys here. Let's see. Alrighty. So keep your suggestions and questions coming. I'm going to look for some of the nutrient dosing charts I have for you guys. Okay. So this is the magnesium chart. I don't know if you could see that. Let's see if I could straighten it. So we have magnesium citrate or glycinate. Take 1 to 4 capsules at bedtime, starting with liver support, and may continue for 3 to 6 months or as needed. And the recommended brand is Pure Encapsulations. So that you have it dialed in, where you know which supplements to take, you know which brand to take, you know I've tested this brand with clients, so you're not buying some supplement and wasting your money on something that doesn't work, because as a pharmacist I could tell you not all supplements are created equally, and some of them have fillers that actually prevent the absorption of the supplements for people with leaky gut, and so I have that in there for you guys to the best of my knowledge, to the best of my ability, to everything I've seen that works in thyroid patients and people with Hashimoto's. I've pretty much brain dumped this into this entire book and then spent a really long time making it approachable and easy to use so that you can take it and run with it. Let's see, great questions, you guys. Sina wants to know smoking and Hashimoto's. So what's interesting is it can be a trigger for Graves' disease. Smoking can actually prevent Hashimoto's in some cases, and we see uprises in Hashimoto's rates. Part of that is what smoking can do is it detoxifies a certain type of, I'm going to get nerdy here for a minute, put my nerd hat on, but there's certain types of gram-negative bacteria that are potentially pathogenic within our gut. So these are not our probiotic bacteria, these are our bad bacteria, and they produce something known as LPS, lipopolysaccharide, and this is an inflammatory thing that causes us to have leaky gut. What smoking can do, there's a certain compound in cigarettes known as anandamide that helps to break down that LPS. And so we don't have the same reaction to our gut bacteria that we normally would when we smoke, because it kind of poisons them a little bit and breaks down that LPS, right? Not to say that smoking is good. Smoking is horrible for everything else. The way to hack that is you can actually figure out another way to rebalance that LPS response. Part of that is you shift your bacterial balance, so that gut protocol works on that, where we take in beneficial bacteria and we do food for the beneficial bacteria, and we shift that balance so we're no longer producing as much LPS. And the other thing we do is we supplement with zinc, so that's in the gut protocol as well, because zinc helps us to create something known as alkaline phosphatase, and alkaline phosphatase also breaks down that LPS. And alkaline phosphatase is oftentimes low in patients with thyroid disease, and part of that is because they are low in zinc. And I know for me it's been definitely a journey to always keep those levels in balance and to try to get them increased. But once people do get them increased and rebalanced, we start seeing a reduction in the autoimmune response. So long story short, smoking is bad. You want to quit smoking. You might see a flare-up in Hashimoto's after you quit smoking, and the important thing is you want to support your gut bacterial balance, and the gut protocol is something that you want to make sure you have on board if you're going to quit smoking to address that flare-up. Miriam says order 2 books through Amazon.ca, so that's Canada in the house. Yay! Thanks so much for your generosity. Oh, my pleasure. I want to get this information in the world and help as many people as possible with Hashimoto's. And thank you so much for your support, and thank you for ordering an extra copy. I know that whoever is going to get it is going to be grateful. And as long as they're ready for their lesson, they'll be able to take charge of their own health, and they'll start seeing improvements. And you're going to be the person that helps them do that. So thank you for them. Desiree, I haven't ovulated. Is this a symptom? Will this book help? I think it can help. Part of the things we want to make sure is we dial in the autoimmune response in the adrenals, because that can help us balance our hormones. So I hope that will help. Desiree says, just ordered. I'm so glad. I think it'll help you. Let's see here. Great questions, you guys. Shirley says, I'm giving up gluten and nightshades, and I'm a big skeptic, but I've convinced that there's something here. Rosacea and severe acne for 20 years. I just woke up couple of months ago and it's gone. 99% gone. Congratulations. I'm so dancing with you and this is just the beginning. Shirley, yes, 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 yes. That's so awesome. Congratulations on, giving up those foods, and I think you're going to lose some symptoms. And it's okay to be a skeptic, like prove yourself, right? So like sometimes we need to have a big change, and I know sometimes it can feel like you're trying all these different things and they're not working, but the interventions in Hashimoto's protocol are the ones that are the biggest needle movers for you guys. And part of the reason why the liver support protocol is first is because it works so well. And so my goal is to get you guys feeling really better, really fast, and get you hooked on taking back your health so that you'll be encouraged to keep going. Emily ordered your new book and it'll be here on Thursday. Yay, so excited that you'll be getting a copy. I can't wait. Diagnosed with Hashimoto's July at age 33, have been following AIP for 34 days, still having daily pain from psoriatic arthritis. Any advice? So Emily, you want to make sure that you dial in and get tested for gut infections. Psoriatic arthritis can be associated with some infections and potentially get into LDN. If we hit a plateau on nutrition, 30 days, you probably want to give it 90 days to see the full effect. But if you're still, if you're still highly symptomatic, 30 days is going to be enough for you to know, hey, I need to start doing some gut testing and try to get that in balance. Lisa says, please do a boot camp for Hashimoto's. Great idea. I love it. We'll have to think of a rebel boot camp. We'll have to think of a cool tribe name. How much magnesium without overdosing? So I usually like to start at 1, and I don't like to recommend more than 4. Here's the thing with magnesium. You want to go with a brand and stick with it and read the package instructions. There's something known as elemental magnesium, and you can overdose on that. Or let me clarify that. There's different formulations of magnesium, and the active magnesium in like a magnesium oxide versus a magnesium citrate is going to be different. And so I don't want to give specific milligram dosing, but I can recommend Pure Encapsulations magnesium citrate, and that's going to be 1 to 4 of those a day. And you always want to cross-reference, make sure, my mom was a doctor and I was growing up, she always told me to read medication names 3 times. And I always do, and I always read medication and supplement names 3 times before I take them. And, you want to make sure that you read the instructions, and you want to make sure you got the right kind of, they're called salts. So this is the type of formulation that the magnesium comes in, and some of them will be just 1 a day, some of them you can take up to 4. So it depends, or even more, or, or less. So it depends on the formulation. Karen also loves the boot camp. That's awesome. Wow, Jules said my TSH can go as high as 997. Girl, we need to get that under control. That means there's a lot of inflammation happening there. And generally with a TSH above 3 and you're symptomatic, I'm recommending getting on thyroid hormones. Elizabeth, make a Hashimoto's app. What a fabulous idea. Roxanne, is magnesium oxide okay? I prefer the citrate version. So that's the one I found to work best with Hashimoto's. And actually there was a clinical study done in people with Hashimoto's using that specific version from Pure Encapsulations that helped to normalize TSH and help to resolve thyroid nodules and improve the appearance of the thyroid gland on thyroid ultrasound when utilized with selenium from Pure Encapsulations. So there's research behind that one, and that's magnesium citrate from Pure Encapsulations is the one I recommend. Cinna says, thank you. Cindy says, was it L-glutamine? Yes, I recommend L-glutamine. I have more information on that in the gut protocols as far as your dosing. Michelle says, can't wait. My book is on its way. Yay. Kathy, I toss and turn at nights, have thyroid, diabetes, and Hashis. What can I do? Kathy, you're going to love this because we have in the adrenal protocol of Hashimoto's protocol, I have an adrenal balancing protocol, and that's going to be focusing on balancing your blood sugar. When you balance your blood sugar, you sleep better at night. This helps Hashimoto's and diabetes. So this is going to be really, really important for you. You can do some amino acids, take magnesium, make sure you're eating blood sugar balanced. This is all outlined in the 4-week adrenal protocol in there for you. Can't wait to see what's going to happen when you try this. You'll have to send me a note and let me know how your diabetes markers are doing after this, and how your Hashimoto's markers are doing after this, and how you're sleeping at night once you do the adrenal protocol. So yay, yay, yay. Emily, I got off of all gluten. Oh, sorry. Julie is talking to Emily. She got off of gluten, dairy, soy, corn, no sugar. Ooh, anaphylactic to eggs. And she's sharing some wonderful resources here. So yeah, so she's selling, if you guys want to take a look at Julie, what's working for her. Let's see, I'm going to try to get through some of the questions here because I'm starting to lose my voice a little bit. I usually do a lot of writing and not as much talking, but I'm so enjoying hanging out with you guys. Miriam, can you please indicate dosage of zinc? 30 milligrams is what I usually recommend as a starting point. You don't want to do higher than that under doctor's supervision. If you're doing like trying to get rid of copper, you might do higher dosages, but you do want to make sure that's monitored, because zinc can deplete copper levels, which is a good thing or a bad thing, right? So it's like zinc can deplete copper, and that's a good thing if you're copper toxic. Not so good if you're copper deficient. So, so 30 milligrams is going to be the dose that's going to be okay, and that won't necessarily deplete you of copper. Diana said, Hashinomo boot camp. I love it. Jody said, wow, just saw my doctor because I think my Hashimoto's has flared up, so thank you. We'll order your books. Okay, I'm glad to hear that. Let's see if we could get that flare under control. I'm really, really excited that you got the book. I think the protocols will help you significantly. Yay, it's out there. Stephen gave up dairy, and Jennifer gave up dairy on another elimination diet, and ghee was allowed. Is that okay to have when eliminating dairy in your protocol? You know, just to be on the safe side, I would eliminate it. What I've learned from my clients and from myself is there are some people who their primary food sensitivity is gluten. There are other people whose primary food sensitivity is dairy. Mine is actually dairy, and I had one wonderful woman that I had a chance to connect with. She was actually a blogger that reversed her thyroid disease, Hashimoto's, with a dairy-free diet. She actually never went gluten-free. And that was her path, and her name was Crystal. She had a wonderful blog, and it was one of the very first blogs I read. Seeing her success story helped me create my own success story, and I hope that you know, you guys seeing all these success stories in the comments, and you know, my success story helps you create your own. Long story short, ghee, some people can still react to it that are highly dairy sensitive, because it can have even tiny amounts of casein, so you want to avoid that for the time being. You may not be one of those people. Some of us are, some of us aren't. Just to give yourself the perfect opportunity to heal, you want to stay off of that. In the liver protocol, I actually have some, I actually have like how to replace dairy. So I have all of my favorite foods listed out in there. So like what to do, what to replace instead of doing, you know, butter or ghee. There are helpful foods that you can do. So for butter, we do coconut oil, and that can be really helpful for you. And ghee is something, you know, I would say majority of people may be able to tolerate it, but just to give yourself an opportunity to stay off of it in the beginning. Angela said, been AIP for 3 weeks. Never thought I would say this, but can't wait to start the liver protocol. Woohoo! So excited to hear that. Let's see. Questions. Is LDN a lifelong protocol? Can you improve and come off of it? Catherine, some people do, you know, get into remission and come off of it. Some people stay on it long term though, because it can prevent cancer. and it could prevent problems down the line. Part of LGN is it helps your own body's immune system get in balance, but I still recommend doing all the root cause things and trying to figure out what your triggers are, and really, kind of using that as part of your protocol. I know some people use it for helping themselves to become pregnant, and there's a potential that it can reduce autoimmunity in offspring and reduce postpartum thyroid issues. I'm actually considering it. I'm not taking it at the moment, but I'm actually considering taking it for when my husband and I try to start planning for a family, as a preventative measure to prevent postpartum thyroid issues, because we know that postpartum is a time when a woman may be diagnosed with thyroid disease or may trigger that. And so I'm doing, I'm being very proactive, and I'm doing everything in my power to prevent any kind of issues. And that's, of course, making sure I'm properly nourished and all those different things. And it's one thing that I'm actually considering for doing preventatively. So I hope that helps. And there's various ways to use it. Nicole, I've been hypoglycemic my entire life. Is it related in any way to hypothyroidism and or Hashimoto's? Absolutely. So hypoglycemia is really, really a key component of Hashimoto's. And once you get that addressed, you're going to feel so much better. Your thyroid antibodies are going to go down. Thiamine can be helpful for addressing that. And then the adrenal protocol, the 4-week adrenal protocol, is going to help you rebalance hypoglycemia. I know, I used to have this horribly. My husband would, my poor husband would be frightened of me whenever I would get hangry, because I would get, if I was hungry, I would get really tired and really angry, and that doesn't happen anymore. I can go for many hours without eating, and it's been something that's been rebalanced. So I think you can definitely benefit from the adrenal protocol. Jill says, so excited to get my book. Should be there Thursday. I hope it'll help you. Let's see here. Looks like we have a few more comments. Sherry, is the liver okay to have if you have fatty liver? It should be helpful for you, actually. Would candida issues? Yeah, candida is covered in the advanced protocol, so that would help you as well. Is skin itching and feet burning associated with Hashimoto's, Alan? Potentially, and food sensitivities. So I'd like to see you on the autoimmune. Brandy, will the book give optimal TSH and labs? And what? Yes, it does. So it does go in the optimizing thyroid hormone levels. So we have that in there. My hands and feet swell up really bad. This could be a food sensitivity. I have thyroid nodules. I'm going to begin magnesium citrate and selenium. Ordering your new book. I have the root cause and love it. Thank you. Can't wait to see my nodules shrink on next sonogram. Lisa, yeah, I am so excited for you to try this, and I think you're going to see results. If you would love it if you, did a guest blog for me or sent that out to me. I'm going to be posting a blog with some sonogram results as well. And, of course, I want to collect as many success stories as possible. I'd love to have that be the focus of my blog for the next year, is getting success stories from all of you guys. Let's see here. Great questions, you guys. It's been such a pleasure connecting with you. I can't believe it's been almost 3 hours that we've been chatting. I am starting to lose my voice a little bit, and it's almost time for my bedtime. So I try to go to bed by 10. I try to be a good girl. Hashimoto's protocol is a 90-day plan for reversing thyroid symptoms and getting your life back. You can get your copy. The fastest way is going to be on Amazon. Right now it's only $17, $17.25, which is a really, really great deal off of the normal price, which is around $30. So hope you guys check it out. I have a link to get it in the description of this Facebook Live event, or if you go to Amazon and search for Hashimoto's, it should come up. It's this beautiful book. Just really grateful to the publisher for getting it out there, and it's been, a fantastic journey in getting this information out to you. I cannot wait to see your success stories once you implement these protocols in your life. So thank you so much, you guys, and have a great night.